All right, so welcome to lecture number 3. Today we will have a very interesting topic we will talk about proteins and we will talk about carbohydrates. So in the previous class, we was talking about the monomers of the carbohydrates, the monomers of the proteins, and the monomers of the fat. Tell me in a few words, why is important to know the monomers? Why do you think it's important to know there is monomers and polymers? Somebody can tell me. How is you going to apply this in your patient? Why is important to know monomers versus polymers? Somebody? I mentioned that in previous class, huh? So, but let's elaborate. Somebody can help me with that, please. So, start to have critical thinking. So, what is a monomer? What is a polymer? What is the big difference? When you said, listen, when you apply critical thinking, you're applying critical thinking when you said why, what, where, how, when. So any question mark that you put on the statement, that is the beginning of, that is the critical thinking. How do you start a critical thinking? And that is applying not only for bioscience, I'm telling you for all your career, okay? So how we start critical thinking? Critical thinking starts with a definition. So you need to know what it is, what we are talking about, and then you start to ask questions yourself, right? So that is the critical thinking. So what is a monomer? Why is it important to know monomers and polymers? Monomers and polymers, you need to know the definition of monomers and polymers. And then you're going to ask yourself, why is important to know monomers and polymers? Okay, so let's start. So tell me, somebody can help me? So what is a monomer?
It's like the simple formation of the molecule, like glucose.
Excellent. And what is a polymer?
The complex,
Exactly.
more complex molecule.
Exactly. So we have simple and complex, correct? Okay. So that is number one. Step number 2. So what will be the difference between this simple and complex?
The amount of kind of building blocks it takes to form them.
One word. Everybody, one word. Give me one word. Start with S. End with E. 4 letters. The second letter is I. Marcel, it's in the tip of your tongue, right? Yeah. Go ahead. You are hyperventilated. Don't get nervous with me. I'm not a monster. Size. Okay. Oh no. Now everybody agree, right? It's there in front of you. Size, right? Size. Simple, right? Size. So now the next step. Why size is important? Because you need to know that these nutrients, these molecules, they need to go into the bloodstream or no? When they need to go to the bloodstream, they are going to appear like magic in your blood? No. Where they are going to be at the beginning? In the intestine. The intestine need to actually they are going to absorb these nutrients into the cells of the lining of the intestine, and then they go to the bloodstream. So in order to be absorbed, size is important. Size is important. So the polymers cannot be absorbed. Why? Because they are too big. But the monomers can be absorbed. You okay with that? You want an application of that? I will give you application right now. Apply that at home. Do you know somebody is allergic, have some lactose intolerance? Lactose intolerance, you know somebody with lactose intolerance? Okay, so this lactose intolerance is a disaccharide. So that means that is bigger than a monosaccharide, a monomer. A monomer of carbohydrates is going to be the glucose and other ones. So the only one that can be absorbed are going to be the monomers. Otherwise cannot be absorbed. Monomers in carbohydrate will be glucose, the fructose, and the galactose. We will learn that today. But the lactose is composed by two molecules, not only one. Fructose, again, glucose is one molecule, only one molecule. Fructose with F, one molecule. Galactose with G, like Dr. G. So G is going to be a monomer of the carbohydrate. But I said lactose with L, L of lion. So L is composed by two molecules, galactose plus glucose. So this lactose is too big to pass for the intestine. So because of that, they cannot pass into the intestine. What happened? Start to accumulate. You eat milk, you drink milk, and the lactose cannot be breaking down into monomers. The lactose, that is a disaccharide, because two molecules is not only one, two molecules. Lactose are two molecules together. So the body cannot break down that molecule. So that lactose cannot be absorbed later on. So what happened is going to accumulate, and they are going to produce irritation in the intestine, diarrhea, etc. So conclusion here is important to know the monomers of the fat, proteins, and carbohydrates, because those are the only one can be actually passed through the intestine. Absorption. We okay with that? So lactose intolerance is one of the examples. Okay? Do you know somebody with lactose intolerance? Do not tell me you or somebody. Just tell me yes or no. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me, when they take milk, they have diarrheas too, right? Why? Because the milk have lactose. So what is the function of in the intestine? To break down the lactose. If you the body need to break down the lactose through an enzyme. And when you get older, you don't produce that enzyme, or very low. So you cannot digest, you cannot break down the lactose, so lactose cannot be absorbed. And that is going to lead into lactose intolerance. You cannot tolerate the milk. And that produces diarrhea. Okay? We okay with that? Okay. Excellent. So let's keep moving. All right. So lecture 3. So Hippocrates, the father of medicine, says to the students, let the food be the medicine and the medicine the food. All right. So now, basically, what I want to tell you about this statement is that this is about 3,000 years ago. This guy, our friend Hippocrates, this is telling you something that I want to conclude now. Listen to this, very careful. Food never cure a disease. Never cure a disease. A good diet are going to prevent a disease. That is different. Okay? So it's not the same that you eat a balanced diet that eat Kentucky Fried Chicken every day. Right? In 5 years, 10 years, you are young, you start to have problems with hypertension, diabetes, etc., etc. Okay? All right. So, and part of those, that is NCLEX again. Huh? Food do not cure any disease. That is NCLEX already, I'm telling you. Okay, so what is doing a good diet is to prevent diseases, okay, or prevent complications. All right, so let's keep moving. Okay, so we have the nutrients, and here we have carbon compounds. All of these are going to be organic substances because they have at least one carbohydrates. They have at least one carbon and one hydrogen. Same the lipids, same the nucleic acids, same the proteins. Okay, so this is just an overview. So I'm going to start talking about general things about the nutrients. So if you see here, my mind mapping is math at the end, tissues that is in white. We are going to talk about that. Nutrients is in yellow. That means that is what we are going to talk right now. Okay, so talking about nutrients. Nutrients, we have 6 nutrients. Okay, some people consider 7, but 6 nutrients is what we want in the course. Remember, once again, this is your study guide. Your study guide is immersed already, embedded in the PowerPoint. So here we have these heads. You see this head? That is open eyes, open ears. So that is basically, you start to understand when I say open eyes, open ears, right? Okay, so that is what you're going to see very soon, someday in the next few days, right? Okay, so most likely 6 nutrients. So what? First of all, let's read what is a nutrient. Is any element or compound necessary for contributing to an organism metabolism. Nutrients are going to need it for energy, correct? Growth. So growth, you need to multiply cells. These multiplication of cells are not coming for free. So these cells, they need energy in order to that happen. Otherwise, we will not have cell division or other functions. Structural material means tissue, walls, etc. The organ itself. Maintenance is that I want just to start you thinking about when you are like I will say when you are young, you have cells in your body. Tell me, you have the same cells right now in your body? The answer is totally no. Do you have the same cells in your body like 10 years ago? No. 5 years ago? No. 6 years ago? Or 1 year ago? No. They're still replacing. So you are dying every day. Cells of your body are dying every day, and your body are replacing the old cells with new cells. So we are changing all the time. We are not the same every second. Cells are being on, off, and then replaced by other ones. And that is 24/7, especially during the sleep time. Sleep time is considered the time that we mostly regenerate our tissue. So that's why it's important to uh, to sleep at least 5 hours. At least 5 hours. All right, so and tissue repair. So nutrients. In conclusion, this statement, the nutrients are going to be used to obtain energy, that energy that is going to help us to replace, to maintain, to repair, to have cell division of the cells. All right. So imagine your body is a house, and the house, they need to clean the floor, right? They need to the door sometimes broken, or the windows, or the TV, your lamp. So you have so many things to replace, right? So you produce garbage, right? The garbage need to have energy to take it to the garbage can, right? So all these functions are happening in your body. So your house is like you, the cell, is a unit of life. Okay, and for that, all of them, they need the energy, and this energy are going to be based on the nutrients that we have. So that's why we need to eat every day, because the body is going to basically have a schedule of 24 hours. So what they are doing in between 24 hours. So you don't eat 24 hours. You are going to, the proof of that is that you sleep. The next day you need to eat more. You are hungry. Why you're hungry? Because your body is telling me, you know what, I need energy. Okay, all right. So 6 nutrients. We have 6 nutrients. We have the carbohydrates. Are going to write it down like CH. Lipids. Please don't be afraid to say lipids and fats. Fats are the same to say lipids. Okay, lipid cells, lipid tissue, fat cells. is actually you can actually either or use it, fat or lipids. But you need to know lipids is fat. Proteins, vitamins, 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 vitamins. Minerals, minerals, minerals. Minerals are, if you remember the periodic table of Mendeleev, this periodic table, we have all these elements in our body. Do you have gold in your body? Yes, you have gold. You have wolframium, molybdenum, you have zirconium, titanium. Yes, you have those elements, but in very tiny. It's called oligo elements. Well, I'm not going to go on that, but basically we are all the periodic table. Uranium. You have uranium? Yes. You have cobalt. Cobalt, yes. For example, cobalt is part of the vitamin B12 because the vitamin 12 is called the cyanocobalamin because they have a cobalt element, just to give you some examples, right? So, and we have all these periodic table minerals or elements, mineral or elements, or mineral or elements. We okay with that? Okay. Minerals and elements. Minerals and elements. All right, so we have water, the water that is actually part of those nutrients. All right, so what about all this stuff? All right, so we are going to classify or regroup all these 6 nutrients into this classification: macronutrients and micronutrients and water. So what does it mean, macro? Somebody can tell me what is macro?
Large.
Large, excellent, big, right? Micro means small, correct? Tiny, right? Right? So when
Yep.
you don't try to correlate, when you're doing medical terminology, try to correlate with regular words that you are around you, okay? Macroeconomy, macro city, macrosomia, macroscopic. So micro or macro management or micro management. So you have, for example, you have a company. Macro means you're handling the whole company. Micro management will be like a person to person with other co-worker. So tiny things, right? So I need supplies of pencil, paper, etc. That is micro, mini, tiny. Macro is the whole company, right? So large means macro means large, micro means small. All right. So please, I want just to check on the classification. Classification, you have macronutrient and micronutrient. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Listen, I want you to not get confused on that because many students think that macronutrient means that these nutrients are big, and that is wrong. Micro with I, they said, oh, micro, the molecules are small. No, that is wrong. So what is macronutrient? Macronutrient, macro with A, means that we need in bigger amounts. We are not talking about size. So we need it in bigger amounts, macronutrients. Micronutrient with I means that we need in a small, tiny amount. We okay with that? You want proof of that? All right, so proof of that. So when you go to have dinner, you don't have in your plate vitamin A, B, C, and D, and then a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrates. No, you need big amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and a little bit of vitamins, right? So we are not talking about the size. We are talking about the amount when you are talking the classification of the nutrients. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Participation, very good. Thank you so much. And one thing that you need to be careful here. I don't want you to make it confused or don't be confused when I said, what is water? But water is macronutrient or micronutrient. So, all right, big amount, I don't know, but what I should say. So in general, we consider, well, in all textbooks, everywhere consider, that water is not a macronutrient. Water is not neither a micronutrient. No, it's not macro with A, it's not micro with I. None. So water is the third component of a nutrient. So water is not micro, it's not macro nutrient, it's water. You okay with that?
Yep.
All right, excellent. All right, so macronutrients, we have proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So all these have caloric value, calories. Proteins are going to have each gram about four. I will tell that later. But when you eat proteins, you actually have caloric intake. Calories. What are calories? Calories is the calories. Calories is coming from the word calor. Calor is Latin, and calor means temperature. Okay, so it's going to give you this heat. It's going to give you this warmth, this elevation of temperature. So when you eat some carbohydrates, and you, for example, you are cold, and you eat, you're cold with low levels of glucose. Let's put it that way. And you eat glucose, your body starts to gain temperature. Correct? Okay. Remember our chemical reactions that we was talking in the past, right? So proteins are going to have a caloric intake, carbohydrates as well, and fats, they have caloric intake as well. All right, so they are going to be used for energy. Remember one more thing. These molecules are molecules, atom after atom bonds between them. They are going to basically break down, release the energy, and that energy is going to be used to produce ATPs. ATPs. So we obtain energy from all these nutrients. So this energy to produce ATPs can come from any of these micronutrients. But I need to make some annotation here. And just remember for this and forever. So the more easier of and fastest nutrient that we use for energy is going to be the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. Listen to this, please, because it's coming. So carbohydrate is the fastest and the easy way that we use to produce energy. Okay, carbohydrates number one. Carbohydrates number one. Carbohydrates number one. Number two, when you don't have carbohydrates and you said, okay, I'm not eating carbs, I don't eating this. So what is the next source? The next source will be fat. Fat is the next source. Fat is the next source. Okay, so it's like, for example, you want to spend money. Okay, you want to spend money. You go to the mall. We can go to the mall now, right? Okay, so go to the mall and you have money in your pocket. Let's put it that they can accept no credit cards, only just cash. So you have money in your pocket. So it's easy. So I want to buy something, take the money out from your pocket, pay, and goodbye, right? So done. That is a fast money. Fast. That money in your pocket means carbohydrates. Now, when you are not having money anymore, so where are you going to get? You're going to go to the bank, to the bank. So in the bank, it's taking you more time to get into the bank, take the money, etc., and then go back and buy. So it's taking a long time, right? So that is what happened. Fat are going to take more time to produce energy than carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is the number one and the fastest, the easier for the body to produce energy. When you deplete those carbohydrates, you're going to get fat. Okay, proteins. So proteins is a source of energy. I'm going to be very tiny here, right? Very tiny. Why are you going to do that? Because proteins are basically is everything in our body. Proteins are enzymes, are hormones. All the hormones that exist in your body, all the organs have high components of proteins. Proteins can be as a transporters, can be as a receptors. Proteins are everywhere. So what does it mean? That means that the last resource are going to be proteins. What does it mean? That means only when you deplete all the carbs, only when you deplete after the carbs, you deplete the fats, you're going to start using proteins. Proteins. So proteins is like a gold for us. We want to, our body is trying to keep the gold for yourself. So proteins are going to be the last resource. So when somebody is just skin and bone, they're basically because they are starving, there is no fat, there is no carbohydrates in their diet, they start to use all the proteins. So that's why they become like skin and bones, because all the protein from the muscles, for all the structures are going to be gone, because you still need some energy. Protein can produce energy. Protein can produce energy, but we use it as the last resource for obtain energy. We okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So let's talk about micronutrients. Micronutrients, we have vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals, okay? We call minerals are elements, but in depends in medicine you need to get used to talk different way, different words in different contexts, okay? So we call minerals when we are talking about nutrients. Elements we are going to talk when we are talking about electrolytes, okay? What are electrolytes, by the way? Electrolyte, you heard about electrolytes. Electrolytes are ions. Ions. Electrolytes are ions. Ions. So those elements who gain, lose electron, valency, etc., they are going to have a charge. So those called electrolytes are ions. But when we call ions, when we call electrolytes. So ions and electrolytes basically are the same, exactly the same. But we call electrolytes when these ions we are talking that are in body fluids, body fluid. Most of the time, we're talking that electrolytes in the blood, electrolytes in the urine, electrolytes, right? So those are, we call these ions then are going to be called electrolytes when we are talking in relation of a body fluid. Okay, so vitamins and minerals do not have caloric intake. There is no caloric value. There is no caloric value. There is no caloric value. So I want to gain weight eating a lot of vitamins. No, never is going to happen that. Never is going to happen. So you will not be able to gain weight just eating vitamins and minerals. Okay? So, but what is the function, or what actually we want to have? Why we want vitamins? Why we want vitamins? I will tell you this. So very simple questions, right? Simple questions that it's so normal for us that we don't ask ourselves what is important about this. So why we need vitamins? All right. So number one, the only one, I guess. Okay. So vitamins. First of all, I'm going to tell you. Remember, remember when we was talking about reactions. Remember the car when it's running out of gas. Remember that? And you was pushing your car yourself to move the car. Remember that or not? Remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the one who is pushing the car is the enzyme. 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 And guess what? Write down this. Enzyme is a protein. I told you this before, right? Enzyme is a protein. Protein is an enzyme. So all enzymes are proteins, but not all proteins are enzymes, of course. Okay? So enzymes are proteins. Okay, perfect. All right. So vitamins are not proteins, otherwise will be called proteins. Vitamins are not carbohydrates. Vitamins are not fats. So vitamins are substances that do not belong to fat, proteins, or carbohydrates. So now, pushing the car, you're pushing your car. And remember somebody was helping you to push the car into the gas station, and you go faster on that, right? That helper, you know who is this? That is the vitamin. So what is doing the vitamin? The vitamin is a helper for the enzymes. The enzymes are going to accelerate the chemical reaction, and the vitamins are going to even accelerate even more. You okay with that? That is when you put your car into the gas station and the helper is coming to you. And remember, the helper, when you reach the gas station, they go away. They say, all right, so see you next. I hope not to see you again with the car broken. See you next time. Hopefully no, right? That is the enzyme. That is, sorry, the vitamins. All right, so write down this, please. So vitamins, the other name of vitamins are called the coenzymes, CO enzymes. Write it down that. Vitamins are being called to the coenzymes. Coenzymes. Write it down 10 times, whatever you want. Okay. So now my question is, why these enzymes are called coenzymes? Why is called coenzyme? Listen to the word. The words are telling you a lot. Why coenzymes are going to be called coenzymes? Because, listen to this. Do you want to say something? Somebody want to say something? Okay. Coenzymes, CO, coenzymes, means that are going to cooperate with the enzymes. Make sense now? Easy, right? So coenzyme means cooperation with the enzymes. That is the other guy, the other person who was helping you to push your car to the gas station. Okay, coenzymes. Okay, these coenzymes of vitamins. Yeah, basically the vitamins, what they are doing is this. Vitamins are going to help to produce neurotransmitters. They are going to help you to produce ATPs. They are going to help you to have cell division. And all of them, they have chemical reactions. And these are the helpers. The vitamins are the helpers. For example, tell me, when you have lack of vitamins, don't see that you have some lesions here in your mouth? These people who are low in vitamins, they have some wounds here on the lips, on the mouth, on the skin, right? Why is that? So if you can, for example, do you see some homeless ones? This homeless doesn't have enough food, right? They don't care about vitamin, mineral. What the heck is what's macro? They don't care, right? And they have deficiency of vitamins. And do you see this kind of the lesions, red face, and actually like look like a being beating for somebody, right? Why is that? Because these vitamins are low. What does it mean? Let me elaborate. I told you that all the cells of your body need to be replaced constantly, permanently. They need to be replaced permanently. If you don't have enough vitamins, the cells are going to divide, but slow. They're going to take more time because the vitamins is the one who accelerate the repair, chemical reactions to produce more cells. And that is going to be a lag, a delay on the production of these cells. We okay with that? You got the point? We get it?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right, so why we need water? Why we need water? Because water is the medium. Is the medium. I'm going to put here vitamins are going to be the coenzymes. Coenzymes. I forgot to mention about minerals. Minerals. What are the function of the minerals? Minerals, the first thing probably you think in your mind is bones, calcium. And that is true. That's okay. But minerals are much more important for that. Minerals, for example, we are going to talk about the sodium, the potassium, the chloride, the magnesium, the calcium, right? So those are the main minerals that we have in our body. But guess what? When you have low levels of these minerals are not going to be used only for the bones, please. These minerals are going to participate in many other functions. For example, move your arm up and down. You're using minerals because you have sodium and calcium. You're using sodium and calcium. Okay? You are actually for example, the nervous system. You are thinking there right now. You're listening to me. You are processing the information. You are using sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, and calcium. Okay, your heart rate is going. Your heart is beating because you have good levels of sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, and calcium. So just to give you general, some minerals are going to get in and get out to produce different of charges and produce electrical impulses that make your body do things. Okay, so minerals are not only for the bones, are not for the bones. So tell me one thing. I told you that the minerals are going to be important for muscle, heart, and nervous system, right? That's what I just mentioned, right? Yes or no? Right? So you want the proof of that? I will give you a proof right now. Nat, you don't want the proof? I like the table there. This is a very tiny cute table. Okay. All right. So, you want the proof of that? I will give you a proof. The proof is this. Tell me, when you are exhausted, you are going to do exercises. You do extenuating exercises. Let's run 40 miles. Tell me, when you're going to sweat, yes or no?
Yes.
Do you try your sweat? Do you try your sweat? What taste is that sweat?
Salty.
Salty. So you're losing sodium, right? You're losing sodium. Tell me one thing. When you are after 40 miles running, totally extenuated, can you study after that? You want to study, you have the energy to study. Basically, you cannot focus because you are losing these electrolytes, these minerals. Otherwise, when you are sweating, don't you have cramps in your legs? Why you have cramps in your legs? Why? Because you're losing minerals. So the muscles will not be able to contract. So when you're talking about minerals, you're talking about, yes, bones, muscles, heart, and nervous system, basically. But they have all chemical reactions are going to somehow need minerals to occur. So the minerals are going to as well help chemical reactions. Minerals can help chemical reactions. Minerals can help chemical reactions. Proof of that is that the these minerals, we talk about vitamins are going to be called coenzymes because they help the enzymes, right, accelerate. And minerals are going to be called the cofactors, 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 cofactors. Cofactors are going to help as well chemical reactions. Yeah, so minerals is just not calcium and bones, okay? So it's much more than that. At this moment, what I want you to get from this slide is you to know what is the difference between macro and micronutrients. It's not about size, it's about the amount. We need in bigger amounts macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and we have in lower amounts, I didn't say size, micronutrients. And the micronutrients will be the vitamins and minerals. They do not have caloric intake. You don't gain weight, in other words, from minerals and vitamins. The vitamins are called coenzymes, and the minerals are going to be cofactor, cooperation with whom? With the enzymes, right? So don't get confused cofactors with coenzymes, okay? Cofactors and coenzymes. So cofactors is for minerals, period. Coenzymes is for vitamins, period, okay? And that is, as a conclusion, support and regulate the metabolism. What is metabolism? How the body produces energy. For what? For all what you need to do, repair, maintenance, etc. Right? And water. Water is not a macro. It's very clear reading right there. So macro is not a macro. It's not a micro, but it's important for the more important of the nutrients. Why? Because water is the medium where chemical reactions are going to happen. Without that medium, you cannot have chemical reactions. So that is a recap so far. Okay? All right, so let's continue. We have any questions so far, please? It's clear or no?
Clear.
Excellent. Everybody will participate. Thank you so much. All right. All right. So carbohydrates, CH. Carbohydrates, we have CHO. So let me see if I have a molecule here. There is a molecule here of carbohydrates. Do you know? I know which one is mono. I mean, which one is glucose? I don't know. It's basically you can tell this is carbon, hydrogen. At least one carbon, one hydrogen. Carbon and hydrogen. Carbon and hydrogen. So that means that is what is organic compound molecule. Okay, CHO. CHOs are the components of the carbohydrate. This is important. This is important. Why? Because we will have that one of these macronutrients are going to contain nitrogen, but only one of them, and you will find out which one is the one who contains nitrogen. So that's why you need to remember that we have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen only in carbohydrates. There is no nitrogen in carbohydrates. Okay, so we will see where is that. All right, so classification of the just a moment, how I can erase this. Cannot erase. Why? Okay, there you go. So we have the monosaccharides. Monosaccharides. So please don't get confused here. Monosaccharide is a monomer. Monomer is the big umbrella. For carbohydrates, monosaccharides, for the fat, the fatty acids, for the protein, the amino acids. So amino acids is a monomer. The amino acid is the monomer of a protein. The fatty acids is the monomer for fat. And monosaccharide is the monomer for carbohydrate. If you said monomer, you're talking about big topic, right? But if you want to go more specific, you go to monosaccharides, you go into say fatty acids, and you know fatty acids is the monomer, and proteins the amino acid. Oh, the amino acid is the monomer. You okay with that? Is that clear, right? All right. So don't you need to link that information. So monosaccharides, we have disaccharides. What it means di? Di means two, right? So instead to have mono is one molecule, you have two molecules together, disaccharides. So very clear here, disaccharides cannot be absorbed. Monosaccharides, yes, can be absorbed. The monosaccharides, the only one can be absorbed. The monosaccharides, the fatty acids, and the amino acids. Those are monomers, can be absorbed. The disaccharides, oligosaccharides, polysaccharides cannot be absorbed. So how we are going to be able to use these disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides? Breaking down. How you're going to break down the molecule? So you have a piece of bread. You have a bread, two pieces of bread. So just break it down in two pieces. Okay. For that, you need to break down the bread, the molecule. You need to basically use energy. Okay. So these two pieces of bread are going to be, one piece is mono and monosaccharide. Together is going to be a disaccharide. Disaccharide means two. Mono means one. Oligo means some, few, like 4, 5, 6. We are not going to talk too much about oligosaccharides, even though those are part of the receptors for allergies, etc. This is not my topic. We are not going to talk about that. And polysaccharide that we mentioned in the previous class. Polysaccharide are going to be, give me one example of polysaccharide. Somebody give me example of polysaccharide. Starch. What else?
Cellulose and glycogen.
Cellulose and glycogen. Beautiful. Okay. So, pasta. You like pasta? You like pasta or no? Pasta.
Yeah.
Right? You like the carbonara? Carbonara is my favorite. Carbonara? Okay. All right. You like carbonara, Marcel, right? Excellent carbonara. Okay, so The pasta is going to be a polysaccharide. Okay, so it's a carbohydrate. All right, so let's do something more simple. A piece of bread. You want, okay, so the question is this. So I have a polysaccharide, and you know that that cannot be absorbed because it's too big, the molecule, correct? Now, can we absorb the polysaccharide in some way? What do you think we should do?
Break it down.
Breaking down. Breaking down. You need to break down in order to make it in monomers. So the polysaccharide that represent hundreds and hundreds of molecules, they are going to break down and separate each other, and they are going to end as a monomer. And then after that, they are going to be absorbed. So basically, you're absorbing the polysaccharide, but before that, you need to process that polysaccharide, breaking it down into monomers. Then you can absorb the whole thing. You okay with that? You want proof of that? I will give you a proof of that. Homework. Go to your kitchen. Take a piece of bread, and put it in your mouth. Put it in your mouth. And don't move your mouth. Don't move your tongue. Don't chew it. Don't do anything. So when you put the piece of bread that is a starch, you see that there is no taste. Or a little salty probably, right? But there is no sweet because it's supposed to be sweet. Carbohydrate is supposed to be sweet or not? Right? Okay. Now, if you put a starch that is a polysaccharide, you don't feel sweet. But don't move your mouth. Don't move your tongue. Don't chew it. And you will see that the bread is going to start to dissolve in your mouth without doing anything. Huh? Don't move your tongue, not even 1 millimeter. So when you wait like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and you will feel that bread start to change taste. It's going to turn sweet. Do you try that? Try that at home. See, you will see. Put a piece of bread, and because the only sweet in carbohydrates are going to be the monosaccharides. The monosaccharides are the only who are sweet. The polysaccharide is not sweet. The disaccharide is not sweet. The only sweet is the monosaccharide. So if you put a starch in your mouth that they have multiple molecules together, it's not going to be sweet. But if you put it there in your mouth and leave it there for a while, not 1 hour, just 1 minute, all right? You're not going to be all day with that, right? So just 1 minute, you will feel that the taste in your mouth start to be sweet. That is showing you and demonstrating you that the body, what it's doing is to break down the polysaccharide into more simple components in order to be absorbed later on. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Are you going to do the homework? No? You will try? No? Shani, you're going to try? You don't like? Okay, let's try it, right? Let's try. Okay. Okay, so all right, so type of complex, okay. We are going to see that the monosaccharides are going to be called simple sugars. Simple sugar, question for the exam. Polysaccharides are going to be complex sugars. Okay? Now, tell me one thing. Which one is going to be absorbed faster? Simple sugars or complex sugars?
Simple.
Simple.
Simple sugars, faster, because it's already ready to be absorbed, right? But complex sugars, they need to be processed first. They need to break it down, and then they are going to be absorbed, correct? Yes or no? Listen, what you just learned is a concept of nutrition for the diet of patients with diabetes mellitus. You just learned right now that. I'm not going to ask that, but I want you to be aware what you're learning right now. This is going to be applicable for patients who have diabetes mellitus. You want them to have complex sugars. So diabetic patients, they need to eat sugars too, but no as much as a normal patient without diabetes. So they are going to use complex sugars. Why? Because the problem in diabetic patients is when you eat simple sugar like table sugar, how you call it? Table sugar, okay. Table sugar is right, or sugar table? How you say?
No sugar.
Okay, table sugar, okay, table sugar. If you that is very much very fast turned into monosaccharide, and the absorption is going to be very fast. And in diabetic patient, what it's doing is the glucose go very high because the absorption is very fast, and then boom, go down, giving hypoglycemia states. You don't want that in patients with diabetic patients. So what you do is complex sugars. Why? Because the sugars are going to be absorbed more slowly and it's going to last longer. So they are not going to be these abruptly peaks of fast absorption and then boom, go down. They are going to be a steady sugar in your diet. You okay with that? So I'm not going to ask that. I'm telling you where you're going to lead on in the future. But at this moment, that is why it's important to know what is simple and complex sugars. All right? Simple sugar are going to be absorbed easier, fastest, and easier. And complex sugar are going to need to be processed first, like the bread in your mouth. They need to take some time. Yes, you can count homework. You can put your watch and say, oh, how many minutes I feel the taste of sweet. All right. So if you want to do that, that's perfect. All right. And you will see that it's taking more time. If you put actually table sugar in your mouth, basically it's going to turn, because those are disaccharides. Disaccharides, two molecules. Two molecules are going to break down and burn into monomers. So that's why basically it's very fast. You feel the sweet in your mouth. But the starch is a polysaccharide, so there is hundreds of molecules. They need to break down, and it's going to take more time to break down those into monosaccharides. You okay with that? So that's why you need to remember that monosaccharides are going to be simple sugars and polysaccharides complex sugars. We consider that disaccharides simple sugars as well, because they are very fast to change into monosaccharides. But the fastest, as I said, are the monosaccharides. Is that clear or no, please?
Yeah, it's clear.
It's clear.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here we are going to see, let me see, okay. All right, so here we have the names of the monosaccharides. Monosaccharides. The monosaccharides are going to be called the glucose, the galactose, the fructose. I'm going to skip this for a moment. So glucose, galactose, and fructose. Glucose. Okay, I'm going to write it down. So please, you need to, this is a question for the exam. Huh? You need to, this is the memorization portion. All right, so here we have the monosaccharides. And the monosaccharides are going to be the glucose, number one, glucose. Number two, we have the fructose. And number three, we have the galactose. So that is question for the exam. So don't take more time. Try to memorize it as soon as possible. This is many questions coming for the next exam. Glucose, fructose, and galactose. Then if you add one more monosaccharide, to this, mono plus mono, is going to lead into disaccharides. Okay, disaccharides. We have disaccharides, we have monosaccharides, And what happened here? Glucose plus another monosaccharide is going to give you that disaccharide. For example, glucose, if you add one another molecule of glucose, so glucose plus glucose, because glucose is a monosaccharide, that is going to give you a disaccharide called the maltose. Maltose. You start thinking where we find these maltose, okay, in the food. Okay, so try to think about. So fructose are going, when you add one glucose again, fructose plus glucose, that is going to give you the sucrose. And galactose plus glucose again, that is going to give you the lactose. So galactose, all these guys are going to be one molecule. This glucose is one molecule again, one molecule. These disaccharides are going to be two molecules. Okay? All right, so from these glucose, fructose, and galactose, the one who is the sweetest or the more sweet is the fructose. Sweetest or too sweeter? Sweetest. Okay, sweetest is the fructose. We okay with that? Okay. Tell me, glucose plus glucose are going to be, there is another homework coming. Huh? Ready for the homework? Another homework. This homework, probably you will like it. Okay, let's see. Glucose plus glucose is the maltose. The question is, where I can find the maltose? Give me one example. Where are you going to find maltose? The maltose are going to be found in the beer. You like beer? No?
Yes.
No.
No? Do you like beer? I like beer with Chinese food. I don't know why. So when I take Chinese food, I like to take it with the beer. I don't know. It just tastes for me very nice. All right. So beer. Do you feel this kind of bitter taste on the beer at the end of the taste? Right. So that is the maltose. The maltose is the one. The quality of the maltose is the difference between beer to beer. It's the one who give you the quality, the special taste from beer to beer, right? The beer. Now, homework. What is the homework? I want you to take a sip of beer and put it in your mouth. And don't drink it. Don't move your tongue. Don't move anything. And that beer becomes sweet very soon. Why? Because they are going to turn into maltose, into glucose plus glucose. Glucose is sweet. Fructose, sweet, but it's the sweetest. Glucose. Galactose is sweet as well. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so where we have the sucrose?
Table sugar.
Excellent. SU, sugar, right? The sugar. Table sugar, right? Table sugar, right? I don't know what that is. Table sugar. Okay, table sugar. The table sugar is going to be the sucrose. Sugar. Okay? Fructose is coming from a word. What word do you think is coming the word fructose?
Fruit.
Excellent. Fruit. That is where it's coming. Fruit is sweet, right? Fructose. There you are. Okay, fructose. Fructose, sucrose. But in order to obtain sucrose, you need to have the additionally add the glucose. All right. Where is the lactose? We already talked about that. Where is the lactose?
Milk.
Milk. Excellent. Now, it's the same thing here. If you put a sip of milk in your mouth and don't move it, don't do it. Leave it there for a few seconds, half minute, 1 minute. You will see the milk become sweet. Why? Because the lactose are going to be breaking down into galactose and glucose. Glucose is sweet, fructose is sweet, galactose is sweet. Fructose is the sweetest, okay? But glucose is still sweet, and the galactose is sweet. We okay with that? Is that clear or no, please? I'm going to ask this in the exam, huh? So I hope that is clear. Okay.
Doctor,
Yes.
where can we find the galactose?
Lactose, there you are.
Galactose, the last one.
Lactose. You say that. Listen.
Galactose, right? Galactose.
Oh, galactose is in the milk.
Yeah. Or it is also milk.
Milk, yes.
Okay.
Why? Because lactose is in the milk. Lactose is composed by galactose. Where is the galactose? It's the milk as well. Okay? We all right? Okay.
Yes.
Or no? We okay?
We're okay.
Okay. So now let's keep moving. Sorry, I need to just, you don't need these names here because you already know, right? So I want to add you something here. All right, so we're going to put glucose here. All right, so now glucose. Okay. My God. Okay. So now, what I put here? Oh, this is the maltose. Okay, so I've been telling you that the glucose plus glucose is the maltose. But in order to turn the maltose into glucose in the other way, so means to break down the maltose, we have an enzyme. This enzyme is going to break down the maltose into glucose plus glucose. Who is this enzyme? This enzyme, I'm going to write it down like this. This enzyme is called, very suggestive name, is the maltase. So maltose is the carbohydrate. Maltase, everything that ends in ASE is an enzyme all over in biochemistry. So anything that ends in ASE, that means an enzyme. So the maltose, he has his own enzyme, the maltase, that are going to break down the maltose into glucose and glucose. Then they can be absorbed. What is the name of the enzyme of sucrose? Somebody?
Sucrase.
Sucrase. Excellent. Sucrase. Sucrase is the enzyme. ASE means an enzyme that is going to break down the sucrose into the into fructose and glucose. What is the enzyme for the lactose?
Like this.
Lactase. Sounds familiar or no? So you can say now you have lactose, for example, you have lactose intolerance because you have low lactase. So what is the treatment for lactose intolerance? Don't take milk or take lactase. You okay? Is that clear? Everybody got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's keep moving now. All right. So we have fructose, galactose, glucose, etc. The other name of glucose, question for the exam, the other name of glucose is going to be, what is the other name? Is the dextrose. Dextrose is the glucose. When you have, for example, an IV intravenous fluid, they give you here a fluid, right? IV is going to be dextrose in 5% concentration of water, right? So that means dextroglucose, that is telling you that you have 5 grams of glucose in 100 mLs of fluid. So we will talk that later. But this is, you need to be very familiar with that very soon. So I'm not going to ask that. I'm not going to explain right now that, unless you want me to do it in the break or after. Anyhow, so dextrose, the only thing I want you to remember now, dextrose is equal to, say, glucose. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we have the ribose. The ribose is a carbohydrate. Ribose is a carbohydrate that is found on the DNA or RNA. We have phosphorus, we have carbohydrates, we have bases. So basically what you need to remember is that for example, remember we was mentioning the DNA? The DNA was like a spiral stairs. Remember that or no?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the steps of the so you go to a spiral stairs. You are walking on a DNA. So try homework. Try to find somewhere spiral stairs and explore and feel the stairs around you. So when you're putting your foot on the step, that is the base. It's called base. The rails, the bars are going to be the sugars, and the rail is going to be the phosphate. So that is exactly when you are going to do next week DNA, remember this. All right. So that is basically how you can remember that. So why I'm saying that, because I want you to know that the DNA contain sugars as well. They're going to contain sugars as well. How is this sugar called? It's going to be called the ribose. Ribose. All right. We have the deoxyribose, the pentoribose. That is another type. Ribose is the carbohydrate that is a monosaccharide localized in the DNA. We can find that in the DNA. All right. All right. So let's keep moving. Okay. All right. So this is already all news, right? Just to refresh you here. Disaccharides. A carbohydrate consists of two identical units, monomers. Di means two. Lactose means glucose and galactose. Maltose means glucose and glucose. Sucrose means glucose and fructose, right? So lactose, milk, maltose is French malt, the beer, right? The beer. Sucrose are going to be found in table sugar. It's not sugar table, it's table sugar. Okay? Oligosaccharides, just to mention here, I'm not going to ask that, but oligosaccharides are these more than two, but not so many. How many? Probably could be 4, 10, 15 about units. That is oligo. Oligo means few, some. That doesn't mean, oligo means that, right? So few or some. And these, just to mention, are going to be localized on the cell walls of the cell membranes. There are some receptors. It's like you have your house, the keyhole of your house, and the keyhole of your house are going to have only one key to open the house, right? So that keyhole is going to be the oligosaccharide. And the key is the allergen, for example. You have allergies, they are going to activate these receptors composed by oligosaccharide, and that produce a lot of allergic reactions, histamine, etc., etc. And I'm not going to go that. So oligosaccharides, conclusion from this slide, few or some carbohydrates together. For example, 4 to 15 about carbohydrates are going to come together, oligosaccharides. Okay, that's all. So polysaccharides, this is what I want to get focused on. Polysaccharides, many more, a lot. They can be hundreds and hundreds. One is the starch. Second is the cellulose. Third is the glycogen. The starch are going to be divided in amylopectin, or amylopectin, and the other one is the amylopectin, and the other one, what is the other one? Let me see here. Amylose. There you are. Amylose and the amylopectin. So I'm going to start talking about the polysaccharides, and with that we can finish our carbohydrates and we can have our break. Okay? You okay with that? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So starch. So I want you to think about the starch. Starch. Think about bread. Think about spaghetti, fettuccine, whatever you like. Okay. So starch. Cellulose. I want you to think about. You put here, please write it down. This is question for the exam. God, what happened? Okay. Cellulose is the same to say fiber. Fiber. Cellulose is fiber. Cellulose is the fiber. Do you eat fiber? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me, where is the fiber in your diet?
Pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds. Okay. What else?
Vegetables.
Vegetables. Yes. Your salads in general, right? All your salads. Your tomato, your artichoke, broccoli, broccolini, whatever, dill, whatever, bay leaf, spinach, chard, all these plants, vegetables, lettuce, onions, whatever, all of that, fruits, banana, orange, whatever, those are containing fiber. So sometimes we call dietary fiber. Dietary fiber. I don't want to give you much more because fiber can be used for are going to be so important. They can decrease the cholesterol, increase HDL, decrease LDL. They are going to decrease the risk for colon cancer. They are going to form the stools. They are going to form the gut flora. So there is so many things coming from fiber. So why I'm saying that? Because I want you to realize that fiber is something that you need to keep on mind all the time. Fiber is about 25 grams per day. That's what you need to eat of fiber. How much is a fiber? A fiber 25 grams is like you put your hand like this. So the amount of fiber that you need is basically occupying the palm of your hand when you have like this. Okay, just to make it a very fast rule. So you need at least to eat that every day. Okay, so that means about 3 to 4 fruits a day, a salad. That's it. What you need to have for fiber. So fiber is very important. Fiber, one thing. Question for the exam. Cellulose, fiber. Cellulose cannot be digested. What means digestion? Digestion means to break down. Why you need to break down? You need to break it down in order to turn into monomers. That means digestion. So you're going to digest the carbohydrates to turn into monosaccharide. You're going to digest the fat to turn into fatty acids. You're going to digest the proteins to turn into amino acids. Then they can be absorbed. But the cellulose and the fiber cannot be digested. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now let's make a reasoning here. If you cannot digest the fiber, listen what I'm going to say. Listen, I want you alert. If you cannot digest the cellulose, tell me, can you absorb the cellulose? Everything is in the same. I don't know. Okay, Mr. Yeah.
Sorry, it happens.
I know. You're going to keep apologizing until the end of the course, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if the fiber the cellulose or fiber cannot be digested, tell me, can be absorbed? It can be absorbed, yes or no?
No.
No, right? Because it's too big. You cannot be absorbed if something is big. Everybody got that? Everybody got that so far? Okay.
Yeah.
So now, Chinese, tell me one thing. If you cannot absorb the cellulose, you cannot digest, and then you cannot absorb the cellulose, what for do we need the cellulose? What for we need the fiber? Right? Good question, right? Why do we need the fiber? Why we need to eat salad? Why do you already know why you need to have oxygen, water, right? What, etc. Why you need to eat salad? If the
Isn't
salad
there
can
still
walk,
nutrients inside of salad and all that we need?
excellent, very good, excellent. The majority of minerals and vitamins are in the vegetables, in the fibers. Even though we cannot absorb the cellulose from the fiber, that is going to provide us, they're attached to the fiber, a lot of minerals and vitamins. So that's why in vegetables and fruit, salads and fruit are going to be the majority of the vitamins and minerals. That's why we need to eat fiber. It's like you have a sponge. You have a sponge with water, you squeeze the sponge. You drink the water, but you cannot eat the sponge. Got it? So you're going to use the water, but the mineral, that is the representation of the mineral. The sponge is going to be the fiber. You don't need the sponge, right? You don't like the sponge, right? Okay. So, and that is what is the need for dietary fiber, called fiber or called cellulose. You okay with that? Okay, excellent. All right, so we have a start. We have so let's see, because we have a short time. Huh? We're going to start doing some shortcuts, but definitely, I need to finish this. All right, so glycogen. So you already know what is cellulose. Okay, recap: no digestible, called fiber or dietary fiber, are going to be on salads and fruit. Glycogen. Glycogen is what I mentioned in the previous class. That is the advertisement is telling you are going to lose weight. Glycogen, listen to this. Glycogen are going to be hundreds of molecules of glucose. Glucose. They form a big molecule called glycogen. Okay? This glycogen, listen to this, please. I'm going to, I cannot tell myself. This glycogen are going to be formed by many molecules of glucose. I'm going to represent it like that. Okay? All right. So this glycogen are going to get deposit into the liver and muscles. That is where it's going to be located. So glycogen, we have the ability to store. We are going to store only 2 pounds maximum. Only 2 pounds. Only 2 pounds. So 1 pound of glycogen, and we have plus another pound of glycogen. You follow me? Okay.
Yep.
So now, this pound of glycogen is a group of molecules of glucose. These have some characteristic. The characteristic is they are going to attract water. How many pounds of water attract for every pound of glycogen? 4 pounds of water. 4 pounds of water. So if you make a summation, 1 pound of glycogen, 4 pounds of water, altogether, one pound of glycogen total are going to contain 5 pounds. Yes or no? And we have not only 1 pound, but 2 pounds. They're going to say the same story. We have another 5 pounds. And then you're going to make a summation. Total, we have between glycogen and water, we have 10 pounds maximum. 10 pounds. 10 pounds. You follow me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So glycogen, when you are starving, or when you are, for example, I told you that you use first the glucose, the carbohydrates. Then you're using the fats. Now, if you don't have glucose, that are actually the simple carbs, you're going to start breaking down the glycogen to break down into glucose to release into the bloodstream. So before you get into the fat, you're going to start using your glycogen. Okay? So if you go, you look in the TV advertisement, oh, you know what? At 3 o'clock in the morning telling you, you know what? You are going to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. Yes, you're going to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. You need to buy this product that is going to be refilled, 2 for free or 5 for free, 5 buy 1, 5 free, or something like that. All right. And you buy it. And you just do the effort to lose weight that week. So you're losing that weight, trying to lose, but you're going to lose what? Basically, you're going to lose glycogen. Yeah, you're losing 10 pounds. You're going to lose 10 pounds, but they don't tell you losing 10 pounds or what. You want to lose fat. That is what is coming in your mind. But in those 10 first days, you're not going to lose fat. You're going to lose the glycogen. So you said, I'm going to lose pounds. Oh, I lost 2 pounds in 1 day. That is totally insane. Maximum what you need to have to lose weight steady and permanently is to lose about half pound to 1 pound per week. If you're happy to lose 2 pounds in 1 day, you are basically lying to yourself, because you are having an illusion, hallucination, delusion, whatever you want, right? So now these advertisements are going to tell you, eat this medication or eat this one. So, and you're eating that only. Of course, you're going to lose weight because you're not eating, but you're losing basically glycogen. In conclusion, what you are doing in those diets advertised in the market, you are losing just sugars. You're not losing not even 1 gram of fat. That's what you want. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so starches, just passing to the other component, starch. Starch, we have the amylose and the amylopectin. Okay? There are amylose and amylose are digestible by humans. So all the starches, starch, glycogen can be digested, but the only one cannot be digested is the cellulose or the fiber. Okay? So the starches are complex carbohydrates. They are not simple carbohydrates. Okay? Names that I'm going to mention that you need to get familiar with is the amylose and the amylopectin. Amylose and amylopectin. Common mistakes on the exams on the students is starch is not glycogen. Okay, we have what is the group of polysaccharides? We have the starches that is composed by amylose, amylopectin. Starch is not glycogen. The other starch is the one group. Another group of polysaccharides is the cellulose, and another group are going to be the glycogen. You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now, there's 2 more things here. Oh, the time is passing so fast. All right. So I need to focus here because, okay. All right. So now I want to tell you one thing here. The fiber. Okay. So, oh my God, time is killing me. Okay. So I'm going to be very fast. What is this?
Colon.
Large intestine or colon, correct? Okay? Or colon. Okay. So here in the colon we have bacteria. Oh my God, I become crazy. No, I don't become crazy. This is all right. So here we have bacteria. I'm taking my extra mark here, so please pay attention. Bacteria. There's bacteria. Yes, bacteria. So how many type of bacteria? We have many type of bacteria. So different populations of bacteria. We have different population of bacteria all over the colon, different bacteria. So how many type of bacteria we have in the colon? These different type of bacteria, we have 400 different species. Species, right? Yeah, like this, right? All right, species. So I didn't say 400 bacteria, huh? I didn't say 400 bacteria. I said 400 different type of population of bacteria. These bacteria are going to be called the good bacteria. Good bacteria. Or called flora. Or called gut flora is the same. Gut flora. So what is doing this gut flora? So they call the good bacteria. Question for the exam. Bacteria that are in the colon. We have 400 different species. Big population of bacteria. Those are called the good bacteria or gut flora. So what is doing these guys? These guys, you have a bacteria here. The bacteria is like you and me. We are like bacteria. Okay, bacteria, what is doing? Why I'm telling you, bacteria, they need to eat? Yes, they need to eat. They need to drink? They need to drink. They need to reproduce? Yes, they need to reproduce. They need to pee? They can pee. They poo? They poo. They make gas like we do? Yes, we do gas. So bacteria do everything that humans do. Okay? Okay. So what I'm talking about, right? So the reason is this. Pay attention. Here, let me see if I have something more. Okay. So here's I'm going to put the fiber as a yellow. The fiber is coming from the small intestine, and the fiber is going to be like this. Fiber, 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 fiber. Okay, fiber. This is the fiber. This fiber, as you know, cannot be digested by the stomach, by the small intestine. So they are going to, what they are doing, the fiber are going to, one of the functions is to form stools. So if you want as a homework, when you go to stool, you'll see, oh, this is fiber. Okay, fiber. Okay, fiber. All right, that is a fiber. So fiber. So what is doing the fiber with this bacteria? The fiber with this bacteria is going to produce what we call a symbiosis. Symbiosis. Question for the exam. Symbiosis. Symbiosis means a mutual help. Mutual help. Mutual help. So they are going to help the bacteria. We are going to help the bacteria. And the bacteria is going to help us. So that is called symbiosis. You okay with that? Now, how they are going to help? The bacteria are going to be waiting that you eat vegetable because that is the food of the bacteria. Fiber is the food for bacteria. So we are helping them to survive. We are helping them to survive. So we are giving food for them. And the bacteria are very happy and they're going to be very grateful. And the bacteria, when they do I will call that poo, so waste product, because the bacteria is going to be pee, poo, eating, whatever, right? So the waste product of to eat bacteria, for example, you eat a meal, you go to make stools, right? After 1 day or 2 days of what you ate 1 or 2 days before, right? So that is the stool. So the bacteria eating the food that is the fiber, and the stool of the bacteria will be what we call the vitamin K. The flora or bacteria produce, in exchange, produce vitamin K. Vitamin K. So the vitamin K is going to be in the intestine, and just to finish this, they are going to be absorbed by the bloodstream, vitamin K. So we are giving food to the bacteria, and the bacteria is giving us vitamin K. What is the vitamin K for? Vitamin K is for coagulation. You need coagulation 24/7. Yes, you need it. We need it. We need it. Coagulation. Vitamin K, why is called vitamin K? Because it was discovered by German doctor that instead to say coagulation, they said coagulation. That is very, very strong language, right? Coagulation with K. So just remember that, right? Coagulation. You hit your hand like this, you're breaking some small vessels there. And coagulation need to occur immediately. So how you can explain people who you do this and you have bruises? Because you're bleeding. Your coagulation is not good. You don't have enough vitamin K. If you have a baby just born, and probably you have a baby before, they put an injection in the thigh, correct? What is that injection? Vitamin K. Why they give vitamin K? Because the baby who is in the uterus is not exposed to the environment. So there is no flora yet. There is nobody who helps with vitamin K. The baby is going to form the normal gut or the normal flora up to 6 months. So that's why the baby, the first days of born, the first hours, they're going to give the injection in the thigh that is the vitamin K. Do you experience that? Do you experience that? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I know that some of you doesn't have kids yet. Okay? We okay with that? Is that clear? Any questions about that?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, please.
I just want to make sure I have everything right. So basically, the food becomes good bacteria, and then
Wait. The food doesn't turn the good bacteria. Food is food, bacteria is bacteria.
for the good bacteria, right?
The good bacteria. So we populate the good bacteria. When you populate the good bacteria, when you put something in your mouth, the baby is going to put something in their mouth, put it in the mouth, and that bacteria is going to populate in 6 months the intestine. And then it's going to be with you until you get old. Okay, keep going. So, but you cannot say the food is turning into bacteria. No. But food is food, bacteria is bacteria, right? Or probably I misunderstood.
Okay. And then the fiber turns into the
Fiber is being taken by the bacteria.
Okay.
The fiber is being eaten by the bacteria. And when they eat the bacteria, imagine I'm a bacteria, I take the fiber, I make a poo, the poo is vitamin K.
Okay, got it.
Got it? Any other question? Marcel, I see you want to have a question.
No question.
No?
I'm just
Okay.
typing.
Okay. All right, so let's keep moving. All right, so that is, if it goes through the stomach, small intestine, and touch large intestine, good bacteria. These bacteria, let's make it clear, this is the fiber. These bacteria live and feed on whatever could not be digested and absorbed by the body. These bacteria feed on fiber, cellulose. They produce the enzymes to break it down. They digest and eat metabolites for energy, for themselves. So that is the energy for the bacteria. And in addition, produce gas. Remember, I told you that we are like a bacteria. We have gas, right? We pass gas all the time. So the gas of the bacteria is going to be the methane. So when you fart or you have some pass gas, it's so bad smell. That blame the bacteria. Don't blame yourself. It's blame the bacteria. The bacteria is the one who produces the methane gas. Methane gas is CH4. Okay? All right. And their metabolic byproduct. This is why foods high in fiber sometimes can give you gas. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there is actually two reactions that we need to remember, and we finish before we go to our break. All right. So when you are going to have glucose, look at this: glucose plus glucose. When they're coming together, they are going to form, they are going to react in between them, and they are going to produce the maltose, and they are going to release water. Water. They are going to release water. So you put this together and take water out water, you're going to have the maltose. So in order to produce disaccharides or complex molecules, you are going to have a reaction of dehydration. So you, in other words, you put one monosaccharide, another monosaccharide together, you put all together and take a molecule of water from that. That is going to be your disaccharide. Is that clear or no?
It's clear.
Okay, that is question for the exam. And hydrolysis. Dehydration means take out water. Hydrolysis is to react with water. All right? Dehydration, out water. Hydrolysis, add water. Add water. Hydrolysis is the one who is going to help, in addition, to break down. Amylase is another one, but water can actually break down carbohydrates. Hydrolysis. So, do you want me to give you an example? I give you an example. Listen, your saliva. You have saliva, right? Saliva, what is saliva? Saliva is basically water. Electrolytes, amylase, but yes, that's water. When you put the piece of bread in your mouth, it's in contact with the water of the saliva. So the water of saliva produces the hydrolysis. And that means breaking down the polysaccharide into monosaccharide. Okay? Another example. You want another example? Homework. During the lunch break, you're going to have your lunch break homework. You're going to go to the kitchen again. The kitchen today is the day of homework. So put the sink water. Put water in the sink and make it like a block, right? Water there. And I want to put you put there a piece of bread inside. What happened? The bread start to become breaking down. Yes or no?
Yes.
When you come back after 5 minutes, what is the bread? The bread is totally expand and separate, correct? What you are looking there is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis of the carbohydrates. So the water, what is going to do is make the reaction to break down some starch into monosaccharide. In addition, in the body, we don't have that water in that areas. We have, for example, the maltase, the sucrase, we have the lactase in addition. But water there's many ways to break down molecules. One is through those enzymes that I talked at the beginning. Another one is just by simple adding water. That is called the hydrolysis. You okay with that? Okay, guys. So I think you deserve your lunch break, right? All right. So don't eat too much carbs. Don't eat too much. Okay. So I will see you. It's a long class, so let me do it. We are going to do 12:53. Okay. 12:53. We okay with that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
See you. Hello guys, how are you? Sorry, was 2 minutes late. Trying to fix things before. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so we have a long way. So I'm going to start doing some summarize here, but we are going to get all the information that we need. Okay, so let's get started. So the next step are going to be proteins, okay? All right. Oh my God, I forgot to record. Oh, no, I didn't, I record, yes. It's okay. We are recording, yes. All right, so talking about proteins. Okay, talking about proteins, we have we have different things that we need to remember. So number one, proteins is called a polymer. That is the polymer. Polymer. What is a polymer? Protein. The polymer is being made by monomer. The monomer are going to be the amino acid. You have a wall of bricks. Each brick is going to be a monomer. Each brick is going to be an amino acid. The whole wall is going to be the protein called the polymer. We okay with that? Okay, so here we have the word amino acid. Amino acid. Group amino is going to be this area. And this is a group acid. Group amino are going to be a amino acid that is going to be like this. NH2, we have NH2, COOH. So that is the amino acid. Okay? This is very important. Now, the proteins are going to be like a wall on the bricks and the walls. Okay? So what does it mean? That means that in order to compose a protein, in order to form a protein, you need to have multiple amino acids. So each brick is an amino acid. These amino acids are going to create a long molecule that is called a protein. All right. So now, question for the exam. The exam is going to tell you, so how they are going to link between amino acid and amino acid. This link is going to be between, we have the R, is the reactant or reagent. So this is the reagent. The reagent. Let's suppose that you are an amino acid. Your friend close to you is an amino acid. Give the hand. The hand is what is going to link to the other person. This hand is called the R, the reagent. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So these reagents are going to have a covalent bond. Covalent. The carbohydrates, the lipids, and the proteins, all these bonds are going to be covalent bonds. So they are going to link between carbohydrates, between fat, between proteins are going to be linked through a covalent bond. We okay with that? All right, so how many amino acids we have? We have 20 different types of amino acids. Be careful with this because I don't want you to think that one protein contains only 20 units of amino acids. No, they have all the combinations that you can actually imagine. They're going to combine some of these amino acids in different number and in different proportion. So we have about 1,500 different type of proteins in our body. We have I didn't say we have 1,500 proteins. I said we have 1,500 different type of proteins. You okay with that? So 20 amino acids. Essential, no essentials, probably is coming that for nutrition. Right now, what I want you to remember that we have 20 amino acids. Question for the exam. All right. So here we have the this bond that is the reagent bond. are going to be a covalent as well. All right, it's covalent. And that properly is called the peptide bond, peptide bonds, peptide bond. So your hand with the other hand of the other person is called a peptide bond. Peptide, P, proteins. Just to remember, peptide, protein, peptide. We okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, just to mention here, we have the dipeptide, means 2 amino acids. Actually, oligopeptide, we have between 4 to 5 amino acids together, up to 20, 15 amino acids. Oligo, few sum of amino acids together. Polypeptide is a longer chain, but polypeptide is not yet the protein. Polypeptide are going to be many chains of, it's a long chain, more than 20, and actually they are going to be about 20 to 50 amino acids together. That is a polypeptide. Then, if you add more amino acids to the polypeptide, that is going to turn into protein. It's going to be turned into protein. All right. So what I want you to remember from this slide is the bonds between amino acids, person to person. You are amino acid, other person amino acid. Give the hand. That hand is called peptide bonds. Peptide bond. So we have 2 amino acids, dipeptide, oligo, some amino acids together. Polypeptide is a small chain. I would call this a small chain. More number than the oligopeptide, but not as much as a protein. A small chain of amino acids. And this is going to turn into a protein. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
One more recap. I want you to remember peptide bonds. And I want you to remember the difference between polypeptide and a protein. Is that clear? Okay. So polypeptide is a small chain of amino acids. And then when you add more amino acids, they turn into actually a protein. All right, so we're okay with that. All right. Okay. All right. All right, so talking about this, the proteins, they have a function. Proteins, they have many functions. Proteins, remember, proteins is the gold in your body. Gold. You have gold, protein. All right. So this protein is having a lot of important functions. Protein is very important in many things. For example, you have, let's make it something simple. Just is read it here, muscle protein. The muscles have proteins. The muscles have proteins. Active myosin, tropomyosin, etc. We don't care about that. So we have proteins in our muscles. So when you are doing exercises, you do not produce more muscle cells. You do not create more muscle. No more cells. You don't produce more cells. So what is the reason why the muscle increase in size? Not because of the number of muscle cells. It's because you are going to accumulate proteins inside the cells of the muscles. That is how or why muscles are going to be enlarged when you are doing exercises. We okay with that? Yep.
Yes.
Please. Okay. Excellent. So now, why so proteins? So we have so many proteins in the proof of that. You want the proof? I want to give you a proof. These bodybuilders, they don't take a lot of proteins. Yes or no?
They do.
Right? Excellent. So the proteins, they go to the muscles. So what is doing the protein in the muscle? Write down this, please. Write down this. Protein attract water. Attract water. So that's why you take a lot of water as well. Proteins and water. Proteins attract water. So more water inside the cells, more proteins inside the cells, the proteins attract water, make the cell swollen, start to increase in size. Not because they are going to get bigger, they are going to be distended, in other words, fiber by fiber, fiber by fiber, cell by cell of the muscle. All together are going to make your muscle look bigger. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So please, participation is good because actually we have shorter time and collaboration will be very nice. All right. So thank you for that. So the functions of the proteins. The proteins are going to be having like what I have in my head, 10 functions. 10 functions. The functions of proteins are vital, are so important. So let's get started. So one of the things I want you to remember is that proteins, most of the proteins are hormones, your growth hormone, your prolactin, oxytocin, ADH, FSH, LH, ACTH, TSH, all the hormone, thyroid hormone, adrenal gland hormone, growth hormone, follicular stimulant hormone for the ovulation, all the hormones that you can think are going to be made by proteins. Now, let's go to the next level. If you don't have enough nutrition of proteins, can you produce enough hormones? The answer is no. Excuse me, I think it's a school. Hello? Yes? Okay, I don't know how they get my phone number. Okay, anyhow. All right, so all hormones are going to be proteins. Okay, if you don't eat, you don't have enough proteins, you are going to have low growth hormone, low thyroid hormone, low prolactin to produce milk when you are pregnant and lactating. So you don't have enough hormones if you don't eat properly and the amount of protein. You okay with that? Okay, so number one, I told you proteins attract water. This is one of the functions. Proteins attract water. I'm going to ask 10 times that. Okay, proteins attract water. Never forget that. Never forget that. Proteins attract water. Second, proteins are going to be mostly all the hormones, all hormones, except some few. Like for example, estrogens, progesterone, and testosterone. So sex hormones. So plus other hormones, aldosterone, I don't care about that. But if you remember that the majority of the hormones are going to be made by proteins. You okay with that? Okay, number one, enzymes. Number three, enzymes. Enzymes are what? Enzymes are proteins. Enzymes are proteins. Enzymes are proteins. These enzymes are going to produce the metabolism of the body, correct? Okay with that? So if you don't eat enough proteins, you don't what I say we were saying is that you don't actually attract water. So that means I was talking about attract water, right? So because I have three things in my head right now. What I was saying previous, Daniel, Shani?
Attracting water for muscle growth.
Oh yeah, muscle distension. The cells are going to get swollen, right? Okay, so then these enzymes are going to not only use for metabolism, they are going to be used to, for example, for the immune system. Write down immune system. For example, the white cells. The white cells, they have enzymes who destroy bacteria. So the white cells destroy bacteria through enzymes. What are enzymes? Proteins. If you don't have enough proteins in your body, what happens? These white cells do not produce enough enzymes to destroy bacteria. So you are more prone to have infections. You got it? Everybody got that? Everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Immune system. All right? Immune system. All right. So many others. So let's go clothes factors, etc. So we are going to see that. All right. So listen to this, please. Functions, primary functions: building tissue, repairing tissue, are going to be forming enzymes, hormones, fluid balance. Why? Because the water retain the protein retain water. So that is called the oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure. What is oncotic pressure? Is the proteins attract water. Attract water. Listen to this, please. If you have a vessel here, an artery, you have water here, water. And proteins are going to be here. Protein. The proteins are going to hold the water inside the arteries and veins. If you don't have enough proteins, water cannot be held in the arteries and veins. So what happened? The water starts to escape. And these water are going to produce what we call edemas. That is called edema. Okay? So, and what is that pressure? What is the pressure? It's the force. Force is the force that the proteins are going to attract water. So where are mostly the proteins? In the blood. The proteins in the blood are going to hold the water to stay inside the artery and vein. If you don't have enough proteins, water cannot be held in the artery and vein. So what happened? The water starts to escape. That force of holding the water by the protein is called the oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure. We okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
And that, as a consequence, is what we call this fluid balance. Fluid balance. Okay? All right. So then we have other proteins. We have proteins that you need to remember are going to be the albumin. Albumin. This albumin. This is a transporter. Transporter is going to transport. Albumin, I call this the universal taxi driver. It's the taxi driver. So albumin is the most abundant protein that we have in our body. If you put all the protein out of the body, you have about more than half a pound of albumin alone only this protein. So you have almost a little bit more than half of a pound of proteins in the whole body. So it's the highest amount of protein that we have. Albumin is important as a taxi driver. Why is that? All right, it's a lot to talk. All right, so listen, when you eat something, whatever you eat, they're going to be absorbed by the intestine. When this absorbed by the intestine, they need to travel through the bloodstream. When the whatever is absorbed by the intestine, when they go to the bloodstream, they're going to ask, please, taxi driver. And the albumin is coming to drive, to transport it could be fat, could be another protein, could be carbohydrate, could be drugs, medications. Any medication are going to be using a taxi driver that is the albumin. Albumin as well is going to contribute to the oncotic pressure. Okay, the transportation is important. Listen, if you are sick, are you taking antibiotic, for example? This antibiotic is going to be digested, absorbed, and be transported by the albumin, that is the universal taxi driver. So this is going to distribute the antibiotic, the medication, all over your body that is going to heal you at the end. So what happens if you are malnourished? If you're malnourished, you don't have enough proteins in your blood. So when you take the medication is going to look for a taxi driver, but there is no enough taxi driver. So the medication will not be able to distribute evenly in your body. So the person who are going to be low on protein because it's malnourished is not going to heal as fast as a normal person who contains amount of proteins. Is that clear or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So that's why, in conclusion, a patient who is malnourished versus a person who is very well nourished, they have the same disease. You give treatment. Who is going to heal first or faster? The one who is very well nourished. You okay with that?
Yes.
All right. All right. So building tissue, repairing tissue, because I want just to you realize something here. Listen, carbohydrates are going to be basically CHO. They are going to be in the components of the carbohydrates: carbon, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. In the proteins, let's make fat. Fats basically they have carbon and hydrogens only, and the proteins they are going to contain carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. Nitrogen, protein, and nitrogen is the only macronutrient who contain the nitrogen. Nitrogen is the difference between carbohydrate, fat, and protein. Protein have nitrogen. What is important about nitrogen? Nitrogen is so important. Why? Because you imagine a wall. You need to make bricks. You're going to make a wall with bricks. You put brick after brick. These bricks are going to be loose. They're going to fall down. So the one who make a cement and glue the amino acids between each other is the nitrogen. So nitrogen is what we require to build up structures. So nitrogen, and the only one who contains nitrogen is the protein. Protein. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have transporters. So we talk about the albumin, open eyes, open ears. Albumin is going to transport another proteins, fatty acids. They are going to produce, transport enzymes. They're going to transport hormones. They are going to transport medication, drugs, right? So all these are going to be, why? Because we want an even distribution of everything. So you want to deliver to the farthest point of your body, nutrients, medications, right? So enzymes, hormones. So that's why albumin is very important. It's what we call the universal taxi. Okay, I call that universal taxi. This is what is doing the function transportation. Cytochrome C, we are going to see in the mitochondria. That is going to transport electrons to produce ATP. So another time. So another thing that I want to highlight is the hemoglobin and the myoglobin. Hemoglobin, hemo, nucleo M, that contains iron, are going to have a protein called the globulin. So another protein that you need to remember, albumin. Albumin is one. Right now we are talking about the globulin. Globulin is a protein. It's bigger, much bigger than the albumin. And what is doing? Transport what? Hemoglobin transport oxygen, transport carbon dioxide. That is the hemoglobin. So this protein's function is to transport. Universal taxi, the albumin. Transport oxygen, the hemoglobin. The myoglobin, myo means muscle. And globin means globulin. It's the protein, right? So this globulin, what it's doing is transport oxygen. But this protein mostly is located in the muscle, within the muscles, similar to the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is running in the bloodstream. Myoglobin is inside the muscle. What is the function of both of them? They are going to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay? All right, so we have sodium potassium pump. We have a cell here. This is a cell. And I was telling you, the minerals or elements are very important to do nervous function, nervous system function, muscular function, and heart function. So all these are going to need minerals and elements called the electrolytes. Now, what happened? In order to that happen, you need to have exit or entering or exit of minerals or elements or electrolytes. Let's put electrolytes. So this entry or exit of electrolytes is going to be done by a transporter. Where is this transporter? Is this a protein that is located in the cell membrane? You see these doors that they go rotatory doors, that when somebody in, the other can come out, something like that. Remember, do you know what I'm talking about, right? These hotels that they have rotatory entries, right? So it's like that. That rotatory enter is going to be the protein. The protein. Something is coming in, something's coming out. That is a protein. Protein is going to bring in or out minerals, elements, or called electrolytes. That is going to be, again, a transporter. General transportation. They are going to do transportation. Proteins. Hormones. Hormones are proteins. Hormones are proteins. The proteins that you have, for example, I give you one example, these open eyes, open ears. We have the insulin. The insulin, what it's doing is to make the glucose in. Insulin, glucose in. Insulin, glucose in. In where? Inside the cell. So you have the glucose running, floating in the bloodstream. The glucose are going to get in to the cell through the insulin. Insulin, glucose in. Okay, we got it? All right. So that is, again, a protein. Growth hormone or GH, or somatotropic hormone, another time. The growth hormone are going to be, again. So you see here all the hormones are going to mention. I want to get familiar. I don't want you to memorize all these hormones at once, but I'm going to give you a mnemonic that I'm going to give you later. We have the growth hormone, for example. We have the thyroid stimulant hormone. We have the prolactin. We have the adrenocorticotropin hormone, ACTH. The ACTH. We have the luteal hormone, the produces ovulation, and we have the follicular stimulant hormone, FSH. So if you see here, we have the oxytocin again, that is the other hormone, the antidiuretic hormone. So there is so many hormones. So GTPAL, just to remember very fast. Growth, thyroid, prolactin as ACTH, lutein hormone, GTPAL-F, F of follicular stimulant. So all these are going to produce by the pituitary gland, and many others. They are going to be protein. So what is the importance to talk about this is I want you to know that majority of hormones are going to be proteins. If you have the deficiency of proteins, you will not have these hormones. Receptors. Here we have a cell. This cell are going to release histamine. How is going to release histamine? Histamine is going to be, here we have a receptor. A receptor is a protein. This receptor is a protein. It's like the keyhole of your house, right? So allergen is coming here, a pollen. The pollen is coming and get in this receptor. These receptors are going to open the door and say, oh, we need help. And they are going to release histamine. Histamine is released when you have allergies. You want proof of that? I will give you a proof of that. When you have allergies, you don't go and buy antihistaminic. Or no. Antihistaminic is to decrease the histamine in blood. So histamine is released when you have allergies. And when you have allergies, you go to Safeway and buy antihistaminic to decrease the signs and symptoms of histamine. Okay? So what is this receptor? This receptor is actually a protein. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So now, the enzyme, we have a clotting process. The clotting process. It's too early to talk about that, but I'm going to tell you this. Look at this. These are the vessel, artery. Vessel, you know that this a vessel is going to be an artery or vein. So you have a disruption of the arteries. You are bleeding. So what is going to happen? The first thing is happening, the red blood cells are going to escape. You're bleeding. Your red blood cells are going out of your body. what is the first step is going to happen? The first step, number one, are the platelets. The platelets have become like crazy. Oh, it's bleeding. Everybody hug each other. Everybody hug each other in order to make like a group of platelets that are going to start blocking the bleeding, stop the exit of the bleeding. That is the platelets. Now, second, what is happening then? The platelets are very important. It's going to initiate the coagulation process. You're not bleeding until you die, right? So if you have a needle in your finger bleeding out, you're not going to die until 10 years, right? So it's going to stop in 1 minute, in a few seconds. Okay, so now, so platelets is coming, but that is not enough. That is not enough. For this is going to come a structure called the fibrin. Fibrin, when you have platelets, it's like a mass, it's like a dough that before you go to the oven. Very is consistent, but is not strong enough. So now, what is happening to make it strong enough? Is coming the fibrin. Fibrin is after the platelets. Fibrin is going to be like the wires, like wiring this weak dough. So in order to make it what we call a clot. This fibrin is a protein. This fibrin is a protein. Okay? Okay.
Yep.
So now we have immune activity. So please answer because immune activity. Immune activity are going to be the antibodies. COVID-19 antibodies, right? You know that, right? Antibodies, what is doing the antibodies? This is a bacteria or a virus, if you want. The antibodies, what they are going to do is to, listen to this, are going to mark for destruction. Write down that, for destruction. What does it mean? These antibodies are proteins that are going to mark, are going to be like putting an X on the bacteria. It's like you have a pen or you have some marker and mark your face. Boom, boom. Your mark already. That is what is doing the antibody. That's all what they are doing. So are going to mark for destruction. And then what happened? The other cells, other lymphocytes, are going to be called the killer cells. There are some cells who are going to destroy. So they say, oh, look at that. This guy is marked for destruction. Let's kill. Boom. And they kill. So that is the antibody. So what is this antibody? Antibody is a protein. Antibodies. What is antibody? Antibody is a marker for destruction. It's a marker for destruction. Antibody is the same to say AB. Antibody. And this is exactly the same to say the immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin is exactly to say antibody, and we write it down with IG. IG means immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin is the same to say antibody. AB is the same to say IG. You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, let's talk about the shape of the protein. And for this, I'm going to make a very, what time is it, please? Okay.
131.
131.
Okay. So let's talk about the proteins. And for this, I'm going to, please just pay attention to everything I'm going to tell. All right. So the proteins are going to be formed like this. So first of all, we have the proteins are, then when we are talking about genes, later on is where is the recipe for proteins. It's too early to talk about that. I'm going to go straight forward. What is a protein? Protein is a sequence, in few words, is a sequence of amino acids. Everybody's okay with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody, please. Not only one or two people. So everybody, please. Okay. If the class is not just me. Okay. All right. Proteins is sequence of amino acids. Okay, perfect. The protein are going to be formed by one. At the beginning, the protein is going to be like a straight line, like a line. The first steps of formation of protein is going to be like a line. So you will see here a line of amino acids. Each line I see put here is going to be an amino acid. Okay, amino acid. So that is basically what we call the primary protein. Just remember that question for the exam. Primary protein. That is a linear appearance. Linear. Second, this linear, they are going to open eyes, open ears is coming for the exam. There are going to be a lot of attraction and they are going to reject. So they are going to be attraction and repel. They are going to, because they have electrical charges. So this difference of electrical charges are going to make these linear amino acids are going to fold like this. Are going to fold. This folding is a consequence of the electrical charges that are going to attract or reject each other. So they are going to have actually what we call a pleat. Okay, a pleat of the linear amino acid. So for question for the exam, this pleat is called alpha and beta. Alpha and beta. This is called the secondary protein. Secondary protein. Then after this is going to still these electrostatic interactions between the amino acids. They're going to form what we call the tertiary protein. So just to remember, it's called the 3D protein. The 3D protein, I'm not going to draw the amino acids, but the chains only are going to be like this. So they are going to be a shape. They are going to be like a shape. They have a different shape. Look at that. It's a 3D shape. So they are going to interact. They are going to just overlap one each other, etc., etc. And then we have the quaternary protein. The quaternary protein are going to be more dense and more intricate protein, like that. So what is this for? Why we need to remember this? All right. So remember I was telling you that the protein have a function. The function of hormones, etc., the enzymes that we was talking, transportation, etc., immune system that we talk in that. When is going to be functional this protein? These proteins are going to be functional only when you are in the tertiary or quaternary protein. These are going to be functional. What does it mean? You don't understand yet that? I'm going to make you understand now. All right, so that is the functional protein. How is this? All right. All right, so here we have primary, then it's going to go secondary, alpha, beta, then the tertiary, and then the quaternary. We okay? You follow me?
Yes.
Okay, so now look at this. This is the cell, if this is a cell, this is the nucleus with the DNA, etc. All right, and here we have a receptor. Let's make a receptor like this. This is a protein. Can you see the shape of the protein? Of the receptor?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have another receptor like this shape. Or you want to do it this shape, for example. Let's make it rounded. And this is like a triangle. A triangle. Okay. These are a receptor. This one, these are receptors. These receptors are proteins. Receptors are proteins. And these proteins are going to have a shape. For example, if I do this shape here, I will do it on purpose a little bit. You will see I can draw it like this, something like that. Now you have this shape of the protein. See the shape? This is the shape. Other protein will be another shape. I don't know, whatever shape. So it's going to be like this. So proteins, when they are tertiary or quaternary, are functional. and they are going to have a shape. All right. So now this is the shape of the protein. We agree with that. Then we have an insulin. Could be any other hormone, adrenaline, whatever. Insulin. The insulin is going to have this shape. Just to draw something. This is the insulin. We have, for example, another one. Let's do the thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone are going to be the shape like this, round. Right? This is protein again. This is protein. Insulin is a protein. So now these receptors are receptors for insulin. Why? Because if you see here, the shape of the tertiary or quaternary protein, that is the insulin, are going to literally match with the shape of this receptor, that as well is a protein too. And when they do that, they are going to allow they are going to open a door, and they are going to get the glucose inside. All right, I'm going to give you an example. Example is, you are okay. So you are in your house. You are at home. Okay, you are at home, and you are waiting for a mail delivery. This mail delivery. All right. The mailman, right? Mailman is the insulin. Okay. Your house is your cell. Or let's put it this way. You are the owner of the house. You are going to bring some foods from Safeway. So you are going to Safeway, you're coming back, and you have all the bag in your arm. This is the food, the glucose. Okay? Your house is the cell. You are the insulin. And the sugar is what you bought in Safeway. Now, where is the receptor? The receptor is going to be the keyhole of your house. So the key that you have in your hand are going to be is going to match the keyhole of your house. If you have a different keyhole, that is not going to be able to open your house. You okay with that? So the keyhole is the receptor. The keyhole is the receptor. That is a protein. Protein equal receptor. If you have the right key, that is the insulin, that is going to match with that protein shape, that is going to activate and open the door, and the glucose can get in. That's why the protein, they need to have a shape, and the shape is what is going to make functional the protein. Is that clear or no? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Very clear? Eric, very clear before you go. Eric, is it clear?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's
Okay.
clear.
All right, thank you. All right, and listen, here we have the thyroid hormone. The thyroid hormone is round. I make a shape, whatever, right? So a protein that is round. So they can match here this receptor. Can match this receptor? No, they cannot match. So it's not the right key. It's not the right keyhole. So the receptor will be mostly something rounded. So that's why the receptors, they have a specific hormones who are going to activate the receptors itself. And the protein is functional. Listen, conclusion. The protein is functional when the protein is having 3D or 4D shape. The first, I'm going to ask you, what is the primary protein? It's a linear sequence of amino acids. Is functional the primary protein? The answer is no. It's not functional. The secondary protein is a pleat that we have alpha and beta. Is this functional? No, it's not functional. They start to be functional at the third or 3D or tertiary protein. Full functioning are going to be the quaternary protein. Some proteins can start to be functional when they are tertiary, but all proteins are going to be functional when you have a quaternary configuration. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's make it very fast here. Okay, receptors, body. Okay, so that is actually the same explanation I was giving to you. Okay, so we have, okay, one more thing I want to tell you. Remember I was telling you the protein is very much ends, but did I say it's a source of energy? No, proteins we don't use as energy because that is the gold for us. Because proteins means that is so many structures in your body, proteins in your muscles, enzymes, hormones, transporters, immune system, balance water. So we need proteins. So the body will not use proteins for energy. But even though we can have energy from proteins, we don't use that until we are really worn out. There is no more protein, there is no more carbohydrates or fat. That is the only moment. And that happens when you are in complete starvation after 7 days. You okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's not a primary function to use proteins as energy. It's not. It's not the primary function. That means that we can still using proteins as energy, but the main, most important, most common, and primary function of protein is not to produce energy. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So here we have the primary protein. Look at this. It's like a line, right? I put like a necklace here. You like? Okay. So another here are going to be. Then they are going to start. However, the primary structure alone cannot carry out functions of the protein because they need to have a shape. You're waiting for a key. The key that is going to activate. Who is the key? Insulin, growth hormone, FSH, LH, ACTH, whatever. We have here the alpha helix and the beta pleated sheets. See, that is when I put you in the exam like this, folding, that is the secondary protein. That is not functional yet. The pleats are going to be alpha and beta. Alpha and beta. They're going to have hydrophobic, hydrophilic, so they're going to attract water. So that's why these electrostatic charges within the linear sequence of amino acids are going to repel, attract, and they are going to start making the folding. I want just to remember alpha and beta. That's all. I'm not going to ask exactly hydrophobic, hydrophilic. All right, so here we have alpha helix, beta pleated sheet. That is the secondary protein. The tertiary protein is a 3D configuration. They start having a shape. This is, for example, a protein. This is a globulin. They're going to start a tertiary shape. This is a quaternary shape. If you see here, it's more intricate, it's more elaborate. So that is the shape of the keyhole of your what? Of your house. Okay. So that is about proteins. So any question, please? Any question?
None here.
No.
No.
Okay. So now, one thing, who is the one who ordered, or how we know that we need to produce proteins? We need to use proteins because the information are in the DNA. In the DNA. The DNA, the cell contains DNA. And the cell, when they know that they have a need of a protein, they're going to activate a gene. So what is a gene? Okay, let's go to the spiral stairs. You go to the spiral stairs and you will see that from floor number 1 to floor number 5, all these together from 1 to 5 is called a gene. From floor, for example, 6 to 20, that piece is going to be called a gene. So we have about 24,000 genes. And that is the class for next class. It's a lecture for next class. Okay? And each gene have a recipe for proteins. Where are the recipe for proteins? In the DNA. Who knows when you need to repair proteins? For example, proteins are going to be receptors, the windows of your house. The window of your house is destroyed. The receptor is destroyed. Who knows that? The DNA. The DNA then is going to activate that specific gene who contain the recipe to produce and replace the receptor. Okay, so those about genes, I'm not going to ask in this coming exam, but it's going to be taught by the next class. You okay with that? Genes. So where is coming all these orders to produce proteins are coming from the genes. And we will explain that, or the teacher who will replace me is going to explain that on that class. Okay? All right, so let's keep moving. All right, so we already talked about body cavities, right? So we are not going to talk about that. All right, so now it's time to talk about tissues. And tissues is a long class, but I'm going to make a summary of this class without missing any, and that is a challenge, but always is a challenge, even I'm teaching this so many times. All right, so now, the tissues are going to be, one thing I want you to remember is this. You know the organization of the cells, right? Organization of the body. Organization is going to be cell, tissue, organs, systems, and organisms, right? Or body, right? Yes or no? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so tissue is a group of cells. Tissue are a group of cells. So tissue are going to organize in four different types of tissues. That is what I want you to remember. We have four types of tissues: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissue. Okay? So how many types of tissue we have? Don't forget there. Four. Epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissue. All right? So let's start with epithelium. All right, so look at this. Headache, right? We have simple and stratified. Epithelium is going to be basically your skin. Your skin are going to be all the linings of your body. So for example, put your finger inside your mouth. What you touch inside your mouth is epithelium. Put your finger inside your esophagus, epithelium. So what you feel is epithelium. Put your finger inside the stomach. What you touch there is epithelium. Inside the urinary bladder. Inside the arteries, don't forget that. Inside the artery, the lining, if you put your finger inside an artery, what you touch is epithelium. The skin is epithelium. Your skin. Your nails is actually epithelium. Your eyelashes, your hair are going to be epithelium. All right? Epithelium are going to be divided in simple and stratified. And simple means that it's only one line, one layer of cells. Stratified means that these are actually is like a pile of cells. So we have all these different types of epithelium, but the one who is coming for HESI, English, ATI, my exam, MedCert, etc., is one. That one is the pseudo-stratified epithelium. And that's what I want you to remember. From the epithelial tissue, we have squamous, cuboidal, columnar. We have stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, transitional, that is in the urinary bladder. But all this, what they are doing, the epithelium is to cover surface, cover outside and inside. Everything that is a hollow organ are going to be covered by epithelium. The heart, outside of the heart is epithelium. Inside the heart, put the fingers in the atriums and ventricles. What you touch is epithelium. Okay? All right. So let's start with the pseudo-stratified epithelium. Look at this. This is a simple. Look at this. One layer only. One layer. But here we have the stratified. We have many layers. All right. So let's talk about the pseudo-stratified epithelium. And that is what is going to take me. Can you give me 10 more minutes after 2, please? Is possible?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, please. Yeah, we are not wasting our time, but definitely the class is long. So I will try next time just to finish at 2 o'clock sharp. Okay, so for this, I need to think about if probably we need to take the exam earlier or something. Yeah, let me think about. All right. So now I'm going to talk about the pseudo stratified epithelium. Oh God. Okay. Pseudo stratified epithelium. Pseudo stratified. Pseudo means false, fake, not real. Stratified. Stratified means that it's going to be overlap epithelium. These pseudo stratified epithelium are in the lining of the respiratory tract. Respiratory tract. This pseudo-stratified epithelium, if you see here, look at that here, look at that. Here we have simple columnar and looks like it's similar to the pseudo-stratified columnar. Columnar. This is a simple, it's only one layer. But here it's called pseudo because looks like it's many layers, but it's only one layer. That's why it's called pseudo-stratified. Simple columnar epithelium are going to be localized in the intestines. The pseudo-stratified in the respiratory tract. And why? Look at this. The level of the nucleus of the cells are going to be in the simple columnar GI tract, GI system, are going to be same level. But here, in the pseudo-stratified, the nucleus are in different levels. Looks like there is overlapping of cells, but this not. So that's why it's called pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. Where is this pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium? In the respiratory tract. Now, let's talk about the respiratory tract. Here we have the bronchi. Let's make the bronchi. And the bronchi, they have cells. The lining. This is the lining. These cells are the pseudo-stratified. Okay, so I'm going to draw it like this, something like that, right? So just to show you the pseudo-stratified epithelium. All right, so what is doing this pseudo-stratified epithelium? This pseudo-stratified epithelium, this is the air coming in, right? The air coming in, you're breathing in, air is coming this way. So now, what are having, this is pseudo-stratified cells. Those are pseudo-stratified cells. These pseudo-stratified cells are going to have one thing, cilia, like a hair. So imagine you are the pseudo-stratified cell and your hair is the cilia. What is the cilia? Cilia is a projection, a continuation of the cytoplasmatic membrane. It's like a small continuity that are going, is that your hair is the continuity of your body, right? All right. So the hair is going to be representing the cilia. This cilia, what it's doing is this. Look at that. They start moving. So cilia, I'm going to call this like a broom. Why we have that type of broom in our pseudo-stratified epithelium in the respiratory tract? Why? Because if there is some allergen, some dust, some bacteria, what is doing this cilia is to sweep it out, to try to get rid of the bacteria. Bacteria getting here, these cilia are going to transport the bacteria outside of your respiratory tract. Cilia. And what is the purpose of this? Is to prevent and delay the invasion of bacteria into more deeper areas. They can produce pneumonias. So the cilia is working for that. You okay with that? Yeah. Now,
Yes.
some of these cells, listen, don't lose this transition. So some of these cells are going to be specialized. Some of these cells are going to specialize. For example, this cell will be specialized here. And they have a big nucleus here. Let's make another specialized cells here. Another specialized cell here. And another specialized cell here, just to make two. Okay, 4. These specialized cells, what are going to do is to secrete a mucus. You have mucus when you have a cold. The mucus is like a thick fluid coming from you. That is mucus. So these cells produce mucus. These mucus are going to basically cover all the lining of it's a secretion mucus that is going to cover all the lining of the respiratory tract. These cells are going to be called the goblet cells. Again, what are these goblet cells? These goblet cells are specialized cells from the pseudostratified cells. So what is the function? To produce mucus. So if you see here, you have a mucus covering plus the cilia that is working at the same time. Let's suppose that you are a bacteria. You are a bacteria and you want to invade the respiratory tract. You're going to invade the respiratory tract, and when you're trying to invade, you will find this cilia that is sweeping you out in opposite direction. You want to go deeper, but the cilia is taking you to opposite direction. And in addition to that, you're going to find the mucus. The mucus is like a swamp. If you go into the swamp, you cannot go forward because it's slowing down your locomotion, right? Your invasion. So that things are going to work together. So what is actually the function of the pseudostratified epithelium? To protect the respiratory system from invasion, infection, viral bacteria, etc. Dust, allergens, whatever you want. Okay? So the goblet cells produce the mucus. And the mucus are going to protect against infections. And in addition, together, at the same time, are going to work with the cilia. And the cilia is going to sweep out all the bacteria. So that is the pseudostratified epithelium. We okay with that?
Yes.
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 Okay. So now here we have this is the goblet. This is a goblet cell that produces the mucus in blue, and this is the cilia of all the rest of the pseudostratified epithelium. Goblet cells are going to produce or secrete mucus. Okay. All right. So we have membranes. The membranes, for example, we was talking about pleura, peritoneum, and pericardium. Remember that? Those are as well epithelial tissue. So that's all what I want you to get from that. You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's go to the connective tissue. Talking about connective tissue, I'm going to make a summary, very nice summary, and that is a summary of the connective tissue. All right. So listen to this, please. Write down this. What is the function of the epithelium? The main function of epithelium is to cover surface, in surface or outer surface, covering epithelium. Somebody can tell me what is the function of the connective tissue?
Movement.
To connect. Excellent. So what is the function of connective tissue? To connect structures. So how I remember about this connective tissue? You have, for example, remember the organs are composed by cells. The cells, they need to come together. Who is the one who put together the cells to have a shape of the organ? It's going to be that connective tissue. It's like you have a gelatin, and you put grapes. The grapes are the cells, and the gelatin is the connective tissue, are going to connect those cells in between. So if you don't have this connective tissue, the cell will be floating somewhere. A mess. It's going to be no shape. So the connective tissue is going to connect all these cells to make a shape on the organ, liver, spleen, pancreas, etc. kidney. In addition to that, connective tissue is going to connect muscles and bones. Muscles and bones are connective tissue. That is basically the tendons. What is a tendon? Tendon is the connection between the muscle and the bone. Okay, Achilles tendon, for example, right? All right. So bones are considered connective tissue. Cartilage are considered connective tissue. You need to remember that, please. Cartilage, bones, tendons, ligaments, fat, your fat. The fat, we have fat under the skin. Everybody has some fat under the skin, right? This fat is connective tissue. This fat is not only there, it can be in between organs, between the spleen and the kidney, between the stomach and the pancreas. In between, there is a lot of fat. You open the abdomen, you have a lot of fat inside. Fat. And blood. Blood is considered connective tissue. Why? It's a liquid, it's a fluid, but it's considered connective tissue. Don't forget that blood is considered connective tissue. So the blood is going to consider connective tissue because it's going to connect all the 11 systems in your body. Urinary system, gastrointestinal, endocrine, nervous system, lymphatic, etc. So all these respiratory, urinary, reproductive, all these organs are going to be connected by highways and the blood. The blood is connecting all of them. You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So now, connective tissue, for the exam, you're going to basically do the classification. The classification of connective tissue will be liquid, soft, fibrous, and hard tissue. Liquid, let's start to memorize this. Liquid is fluid. Hard is solid, right? So we have extremes. So just remember, connective tissue will be fluid or solid. Fluid, I told you, is the blood. Hard will be bone and cartilage. Hard, bone, and cartilage. So we have two more to remember. Very easy to remember. The easier is the soft. The soft is the adipose tissue or fat. Is the basically the fat that is under your skin, subcutaneous fat. The fat that is you have in the belly sometimes. Okay, so that is adipose or soft or loose fat. It's called loose fat. Loose fat. Loose fat. The only one that I see the students have difficult to remember, and you are not going to forget because this is what going to ask in the exam, is the fibrous connective tissue. The fibrous connective tissue, are going to be basically the ligaments. Ligaments are connective tissue, are going to ligate, are going to connect organs in between. The ligaments, for example, of your articulation. Somebody have some activity, physical activity, you twist or break your ligaments of your knee. Ligament. What is this ligament? It's going to ligate, it's going to put together, to connect that bone cartilage with other tissues in order to make stable your knee or your locomotion. Ligaments are located between organs. So there is different points of ligaments. Tendons are going to connect the muscles with the bones. The muscle with the bones. Okay? Muscle with the bones are going to be the tendons. And these are called the fibrous connective tissue. Fibrous connective tissue. Fibrous connective tissue. Fibrous connective tissue. So we have ligament, is fibrous tissue. Another example of fibrous tissue are tendons. How to remember that? With the word lift. Lift, ligament, T, tendons, F is fibrous connective tissue. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So let's continue with the muscles. The muscles, we have three type of muscles. Okay? We have three type of muscles. Just remember this, please, okay? A skeletal muscle is the voluntary muscle. Voluntary muscle. The other name that you need to remember is called the striate muscle. Striate muscle. All these are the same. So what means a skeletal striate muscle? Means a voluntary muscle. Any muscle that you can move are going to be actually a skeletal muscle or voluntary muscle or a straight muscle. Whatever muscle you try to move whatever muscle you want, that is a skeletal muscle. There is other muscles that are going to be not voluntary. That is smooth muscle. A smooth muscle is called the involuntary muscle. Involuntary muscle. Involuntary muscle. This involuntary muscle This involuntary muscle means that you cannot move whatever you want. For example, your gallbladder, your gallbladder, can you move your gallbladder? Can you do exercises with your gallbladder, right and left, right and left? You cannot, right? Why? Because this is involuntary muscle. The arteries, remember please, arteries and veins in the wall, on the wall of these vessels, you have a smooth muscle. This is huge, it's huge, okay? So remember that. Arteries, write it down that. Arteries and veins, they have a smooth muscle. If you want to know heart failure, hypertension, whatever, later on, you need to know that. If you don't know that, we are going to be lost in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, okay? All right, so now, so that is the involuntary. The cardiac muscle, we are going to see at the end. All right, so let's draw a skeletal muscle. This is a cell called fiber. So one fiber is not a fiber of the dietary fiber. Huh? Fiber is the same to say one muscle cell. One muscle cell is called a fiber. Okay? Fiber or muscle cell is the same. So these are going to contain what we call striations like that. That's why it's called a striate. That's why it's called a striate muscle. These striate muscle are going to contain, these lines are going to be striations that contain proteins. Proteins. Which proteins you need to remember is the myosin and the actin. There's 4 more, but let's start with the Christmas tree. Myosin and actin are proteins. So where are these proteins? In the striations here. That is where it's going to happen the contraction of the muscle. Okay? So that is another time. All right, so we have this. In addition to that, these voluntary muscles, they have multiple nuclei. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, a lot of nuclei or nucleus. Nucleus is singular. Nuclei with I at the end is plural. Okay? So in Latin, everything that ends in I is plural. Nucleus is singular. So we have multiple nuclei. I'm going to put nuclei. Nuclei. Okay, perfect. So that is what you need to know about the voluntary skeletal muscle. In the smooth muscle, the shape is going to be different, like this. There is no striations, no striations, and they have only one nucleus. That is about the smooth muscle. Where are those muscles? Are going to be on the walls of the arteries and veins, on the walls of the gallbladder, on the walls of the urinary bladder, respiratory tract, on the walls of, because we have the epithelium, pseudostratified epithelium, but below that, in the wall, we have a smooth muscle in addition. Okay? So this is the smooth muscle, involuntary muscle. The cardiac muscle is going to have this. This is a cell of cardiac muscle. This cardiac muscle are put at the end. This is the nucleus, because this muscle cell or cardiac cell are going to have some characteristic of the skeletal, some characteristic of the smooth. So the characteristics of this cardiac muscle is this. They are going to have some striations, not as many as the skeletal, but some striations. In addition to that, they have, this is similar to the voluntary muscle, and they have only one nucleus. Only one nucleus means they have similar to the smooth muscle. But the difference between these cells is this area. This is a very thick disc that is called the intercalary discs. It's called the intercalary disc. This intercalary disc is going to be used to attach to another cardiac cell. Why they need to attach so tight? Because the heart needs to transmit electrical impulse in order to produce the heartbeat. So that intercalate these are going to connect strongly and make easier and faster the transportation of the electrical impulse that is the cause of the cardiac activity. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last part is going to be the nervous tissue. Please, I want you to remember this. This is a nerve cell, or called neuron. Neuron. This is a cell. What is the cell? Cell is all this. All this is a cell. It's not only this. The cell is everything. Because if you have a cell that is the standard cell that you know is this, right? What about if I stretch out, I push here, I make like try to mold the cell in very kind of different shape. At the end, what you have is this cell. So basically, you have all the cell membrane here. Cell membrane. All this is cell membrane, the lining, cell membrane, another cell membrane, cell membrane, cell membrane. And inside we have the cytoplasm. So this is really a cell. Okay? All right, so the components of the nerve cell are going to be several. Here we have the nucleus. The nucleus. Then we have here the body. This is the body, cell body, or soma. That's the question for the exam. Soma. Body, cell body, or soma. This is the nucleus. These are the dendrites. I'm going to write it down because it's small. Dendrites. These dendrites are going to be like the hair of your head, right? Your body is your face is going to be the soma. Your brain is the nucleus, and your hair are the dendrites. And your arm, you have one arm only, is going to be the axon. All this is the axon. And this, at the end of the axon, this portion, that is axon, right, is going to be called the terminal axon. Simple. Terminal axon. You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right, so now, and the last two things we are going to go is this. So I have here a nerve cell here, look at this. And you see here, look like a sausage. Look at it like a sausage. Right? All right. So here we have a nerve cell. And the nerve cell is going to have the axon here. The axon. These axons are going to cover by cells. Let's suppose this is a cell. Look at this. This is a cell. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. And this is the axon. Can you see this axon? So the cell are going to do this. Look at this. The cell is going to do this. They are coming to the axon. This is the cell is going to do this. 1, 2, 3. So they are going to surround the axon. This cell is called the Schwann cell. It's called the Schwann cells. Schwann cells. This is a Schwann cell. So here we have one Schwann cell surrounding this area, another Schwann cell here, another Schwann cell here, another Schwann cell here. This is the Schwann cell. What is inside the Schwann cell? What is inside the Schwann cell is the myelin. Myelin. What is the myelin? Is fat, a type of fat. So why do we need to know this? Why we need to remember this? Because this myelin, these Schwann cells that contain myelin, are going to accelerate the electrical impulse. Electrical impulse. So how fast they run? They run like 100 yards in 1 second. That is the speed. But your body is no more than 2 yards, right? So your body is so these connections are very, very fast. If you don't have myelin, the electrical impulses are going to run 1 yard per second. 1 yard per second. without myelin. No myelin, 1 yard per second. With myelin, that I'm showing you now, you're running 100 yards in 1 second. Okay? So that is going to accelerate. That's why you react, think fast. You actually resolve problems very fast because of the myelin. Okay? All right. So, and the last thing. Here we have a nerve cell, and the nerve cell are going to have here an artery with oxygen and nutrients. So these nerve cells are going to need to receive oxygen and nutrients from the blood, but they're not going to go directly because there's some cells in between. These cells are not nerve cells. These are not nerve cells. And these nerve cells, what they are doing is to collect all the oxygen and the nutrients from the artery. And after they filter and will not allow bacteria go through, they are going to deliver to the nerve cell. So that is called the glia. Glia or neuroglia, right? Glia and neuroglia. So those are the cells that are going to do what? Are going to support and protect the nerve cells. These ones. All right. Any question?
No.
All right. So I'm going to help you with some here with the math. The math basically what is asking us to centimeter, inches, millimeters to inches. All right, so let's do that. It's very simple. So you need to remember some conversions first. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. 1 meter, or 1 m if you want, is going to be 100 centimeters. And 1 centimeter is equal to have 10 millimeters. That's it. That's all. Let's make one example. All right, so 200 centimeters in inches, right? And let's do only one. 200 inches, and I want to change it into centimeters. So can I change inches to centimeters right away? Yes, because I know that 1 inch is 2.54. So you have inches, inch, centimeters. I have centimeter, inches, or centimeter, inches, whatever you want. But if you have both of them, if you have the equivalence, that's it good. So you start to do 200 inches times inches. What are going to put down? What are going to put up? Centimeters. So I know the equivalence now. I know that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. Inches and inches goodbye. And you multiply that, that is going to be 8, 10, 4, 5, 2. It's going to be, it's going to be 508, correct? Centimeters. We okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Sorry. So what we should do in order to finish on time? Me to talk less? You want me to explain less and go? All right, so tell me. We finish here. So, oh my God, 2021. Erin, so tell me before you go, because your opinion about the class.
Oh, opinion. Not too sure, quite honestly. I mean, like the time for the test that we have is perfect. Maybe it's like, I want to say like, actually, I'm not too sure. I guess it's just, you just got a lot of explaining to do. So I know I understand why it goes over. So I'm not gonna be like very mad about it. We need the information, so I'm okay with it.
So what are you going to do? You are discouraged? You encourage yourself? What do you want to do?
I encourage myself.
Discourage?
No, encourage.
Encourage yourself. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, do you find your material useful for this? So you have one
Yeah,
week
of
until
course.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there is anything to improve, tell me, Eric. Okay, more. Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Nant, your opinion, please. Ms. Nant, you are.
Yeah, explanation is clear, but I still need to read the outline of the the chapter, and then I'm going to memorize again.
Okay. So please, I suggest to see or review the lecture, the next lecture before the lecture.
Yes.
Before the lecture. That is going, if you don't do that, you will never discover how beautiful it is. So, how much is going to open your eyes if you read the coming lecture. You need to study for the quiz, yes, but you need to study for read the lecture that is coming. That is going to
Yes.
help you a lot. All right, thank you. Marilyn, please.
Yes.
Your opinion, please. Yeah.
It went pretty well. I did get to review the lecture before coming in, so like you said, that's helpful. I just felt like during the lecture there was like a lot of red, and you know how you said the red we have to memorize a lot. So I guess I just have to go back and review those since
Yeah.
we didn't have time. But other than that, a lot of your um, like in like in life or your examples in real life is helpful for the lectures as well.
Okay, Miss Mary, anything that you want to add later or tell me, you can tell me, please. Okay, whatever is going to be improving our course, I will be very welcome to hear. Shani, please.
The lecture was good. I agree with Marilyn. Using examples from our everyday life, things that we do helps a lot. I really don't have a reason how we can try to make the lecture go to 2 o'clock, honestly, because we're dealing with people's lives, helping to save people. So I think that all the information that you've given us a thorough explanation. We need that. So, I mean, I'm fine with the lecture going over because it's all critical information that we are going to need. And us reading over the notes is one thing, but you explaining it and giving us, different examples helps us more.
Okay, so let's do something. You give me some idea, Shani. So it's possible we are going to, the quizzes are 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's start sharp 9:30. No, 10:30, sorry. 10:30. Because we remember 10 minutes at the end is a lot, right? For us. So we already talked about, we for example, we start at what time we start? For quarter to 11. So if we have 15 minutes, that we can definitely we can stay probably until 2 or 2:05. Okay? So we okay with
Yeah.
that? All right, so thank you. That's a good thing. Marcel, please.
Everything was pretty well said. Lecture is good. I understand that it goes on longer than 2 o'clock because it is just a lot of information to fit into 4 hours. So I really don't mind staying the extra however minutes. But I have no complaints.
Okay, thank you. All right, so all right. Yeah, I will make this end at 2 o'clock next class. Okay. Okay, because I have other things to do as well. Okay, so I'm just stretching out my time as much as I can. So, but I need to put my full attention to my groups. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm doing always the extra mile. So yeah, let's try to fix that. And your participation is important. Okay, so because if I going to keep silent 10 seconds or 15 seconds, it's 15 seconds. It's a lot. Okay, all right. So thank you, Mr. Dino. Please, a wrap up, please, or your general opinion?
It was good. The tissue module is kind of complicated, so I understand there's a lot of information in it. But everything was clear. I love the acronyms. Anytime I can simplify stuff with an acronym, I'm all for it. But no, everything was clear. Pretty
All right.
simple.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so you will see, by the way, you mentioned that I have a lot of these mnemonic easy to remember, and there's none in the books. So I'm planning to do videos about that very soon, by the way, because people like it, and I really do, because it's going to help people too as well. Well, thank you so much for that. For that, I will see you. Okay. So I will try to do, because we didn't do the review for this quiz, I'm going to do the review on Sunday this time. Okay? Okay? I'm going to send you an email invitation for about 9 p.m., but this review is going to be voluntary. It's not mandatory. Okay? You okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. So I will see you then. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. Any question?